Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and Paladins fans all over the world. I am Dolson. It is Friday, and that means we got another episode, or another day, of the Paladins Premier League for you. Joining me on the desk today is a very special guest. We have Meta Pusher, the head coach of Team Envy, with us today. How are you feeling today?
I'm feeling good, man. Excited to, kind of flex the brain on the desk a little bit.
That's right. You get to really flex the knowledge, and to do that, we have some good matchups today, some interesting ones to look into, some contentious games yesterday that, I don't know, maybe didn't surprise us as much. I think we probably all saw which way those were going to go. But looking into today, we have some really good ones. The first one on the block for us, Navi versus VP. Were you interested in anything that you saw out of either of those two teams yesterday?
I really liked what VP was doing. They were able to take, take 2 maps off of NIP, which I think is an absolute powerhouse in the league. And so I'm excited to see what they can do against the other EU team. Yeah,
and I mean they're 2-2 coming into today, and on the opposite side you have Navi who's 3-1. But Virtus.Pro, you got a lot of guys on that roster you have to look at. First up, you have to look at Fasheko. That's a guy I think you would probably agree that is always a threat to make a big impact in a lot of these games.
Yeah, he's an incredibly aggressive player. He plays picks that he can go in, make plays, and win his team the game. And I think he really opens up a lot of space for the rest of the guys on this team, allowing even other guys to get, big plays and big stuff based off of his damage.
Is that something that you have to take into account when you pick and ban against a guy like Fasheko? I mean, it seems hard. He can play the EV well. He can play the Bomb King pretty well. Is that more of a strategy style thing where you sort of understand his play style more, or is that something where you can look to maybe make an impact against him in the picks and bans?
I think you definitely have to look at him in the picks and bans, and it's not so much really the blasters, it's more the aggressive stuff. Things like Zin, Eevee, where you can get in and pressure your backline and get out completely safe. Those are where I feel like he has the highest impact.
Well, he's going to be a guy looking to make a big impact in here today. Another champion that he's certainly comfortable on is this Drogos. 88,000 damage in this one, 1.7 KDA. Oh, these are his average stats. So overall, I mean, you're getting average 88,000 damage out of him. So one of the big driving forces on this Virtus.Pro lineup. Always a guy that you have to consider and look out for.
He's looking relaxed.
He's looking relaxed. He's got the yawns going. He's feeling good coming into today. Hecate as well. I mean, similarly along the same lines, I think, as Fasheko, one of the main damage dealers in this lineup. Plays a different style of champion. What do you see? How important is a guy like Hecate to this Virtus.Pro lineup?
I think he's really important. He's playing sort of what I like to call like a role player situation right now. He's not doing anything crazy champion-wise, draft-wise, and he's really not making huge plays, but he's enabling the rest of the team. And so I'm excited to see if he keeps doing that or if maybe he tries to take a more forward approach. Maybe we see some Andro, some other stuff, some more aggressive picks.
We have seen the Andro come out a little bit over the past couple of weeks. In this case, he's playing the Strix, and that's a champion. We saw it on Frog Isle yesterday. We've seen it on Timber Mill. He's a guy who essentially feels comfortable on a lot of different champions. Sort of the emotional leader, I would say, on the Virtus.Pro side as well. Always feeling good, always making sure his team is up and feeling happy. So I think that even extends beyond the game. When you have a guy like Hecate who's able to play all these champions at such a high level, but be sort of an emotional leader, tie the guys together. You see him fist bumping, feeling good in the booth as well. How important is that to a team to have a guy like Hecate who can kind of bring everyone together emotionally as well?
I think it's really important. It's hard, and it's not hard. It's actually easy to get down on yourself after you take a loss like they do in Game 1 against NIP yesterday, but having the emotion and the really excitement that comes after the next one really brings your team back into it. And I think it complements really well with Vex, because Hecate is like the emotional leader, and Vex is like the calm, collected, mental. The big brain.
Absolutely, and Vex, we chatted about him yesterday before their matchup, the smart support player on the side of Virtus.Pro. I think he has a hand in a lot of their drafts as well. If you look at the Virtus.Pro side, kind of comparing it to the Navi side, what do you want to see out of them today to kind of counteract what Navi was doing yesterday? I mean, they both found wins yesterday. I think Virtus.Pro, I'm trying to remember back to yesterday, but what do you need to see out of them looking into Navi today?
I actually want to see them stick with certain things and find good looks like they had yesterday. Hecate in a sniper matchup with no sniper on the enemy team, even if there's a Ferocity Grover, I think he's got a good chance of winning that.
Well, Ferocity Grover certainly in the books, but we have the Spud standing by, the head coach for Virtus.Pro. Let's hear his thoughts.
Well, we're having trouble doing an interview because in the other booth, Phoenix is standing up on his own little, his table, doing a little dance. But I'm here with the Spuds as Virtus.Pro are getting ready for their game. And I kind of want to ask, yesterday you were able to take 2 maps off of NIP. It wasn't exactly the cleanest set overall for you guys, but I want to know, how's the team feeling coming into the day?
We feel good. We feel confident. They're a great team, so we're just going to try to play our game and see where it takes us.
Yesterday, the thing that kind of caught me off guard, and might have caught you off guard as well, but Frosty Grover kind of came out of nowhere. Do you have a plan? Like, is that something that you guys have been scrimming against, or was that kind of a fresh take for this week?
NIP just kind of does whatever NIP wants. So we're not really like thinking about just one specific pick like that. If it comes up, we do have ways to deal with it, but you know, we'll see when we get there. And NIP is just so different from any other team in the league, so we'll see.
So for today, you're going up against Na'Vi, and now they have Mutu playing with them, so they're kind of full force once again. How are you guys feeling, I guess, just for this specific set and how Na'Vi's going to perform?
I mean, Mutu's a big upgrade. Not that their sub played bad, but it's Mutu, right? Yeah. Mutu's Mutu. So we're just, again, have to play our game. If we play the best we can play, we're confident. Well,
good luck in your games, and thanks for your time.
Confident words coming out there from the coach of VP. They had a tough day yesterday against NIP. I mean, that's a hard opponent to kind of come back into. But let's flip the script. They mentioned it in the interview. Looking over at the side of Na'Vi, they play with Zarini for the first few weeks. Now you get back a guy like Mutu. What's the impact from a coach standpoint? What's the difference in preparation from preparing a team without Mutu and preparing for a team that now has Mutu on it?
From VP's side, I really don't think there's going to be that much of a difference in their preparation.
Sure.
You don't really know what they're going to play, whether Zarini's in, whether Mutu's in. Honestly, I'm more worried about the confidence that it brings having, having your star fragger back in the lineup. There's no concern. It's not like, Faye's on the Shaolin right here. Is he going to do everything he needs to? If Mutu's on it, you know he's going to do what he needs.
And that's the guy they'll look to kind of look for today to make some big impact plays. He played the Dredge yesterday, which I think caught a few of us off guard, but it worked out to a pretty good effect on the Ice Mines, and we touched on it a little bit yesterday. Na'Vi is a team that feels comfortable. NIP is kind of forging a new meta in the sense that they just kind of play whatever they want, but looking over at the side of Natus Vincere, having Mutu back, I think opens up some interesting picks for them. How did you feel about this Dredge pick yesterday? Obviously it worked out, but do you think it made sense,
yeah.
but did you like it?
I liked it a lot. Ice Mines is Dredge's best map. His spam works really well around the point, a lot of angles, and he's really good in a triple tank. He does a ton of damage.
Right.
And really, that's what Mutu brings for me, is it's true flexibility. Mutu literally plays, I think, every single champion in the game. And when you look to how they were week one with Faye on DPS, he did really, really well, but his champion picks were kind of limited. He was playing the Tyra, the Sha, the Leon, and stuff. Mutu's the opposite. He's going to play anything they need. Normally they're going to save his pick for later in the draft, and he really does a good job at putting them in an advantage.
I think you said it pretty well in that the picks may not look all that different, but having Mutu back is a confidence builder, and they had to switch up sort of the roles they were playing. Phoenix having to go more towards that DPS role. Mutu with the steely-eyed stare into the camera. He's feeling good today. The slight smirk coming out on the at the end of that one. Another fragger on the side of Na'Vi, though, is Creatives. He fills a similar role, I think, to kind of how Fasheko does on the opposite side. What do you like in a guy like Creatives, and what do you look for him to do today?
Whereas Mutu is the flexible thing, I think Creatives is the core. He's playing the things they need them to. They're getting his picks early, the Cassie, the Leon, stuff like that, where he can mid-range and put out the pressure, kind of similar to Hecate. So I think Creatives does a really good job. And he's also, he's definitely flexible. We see him play BK a lot.
That's true.
Like, Eevee. There's a lot of things that this team can do that make it really hard to plan for them in the draft phase.
And you get the Vivian here as well.
That was a big switch up, considering last we saw them at Worlds, it was Mutu running it every single game, and now they come out in game one against Kanga, and Creatives is running it. That's like, how do you know what they're doing?
Right. That's something you certainly have to consider. You have to look into, they're feeling confident. They got their full roster back now. That's going to open up some doors potentially for picks and bans. And then when you have Creatives, you get his comfort pick, you get the Bomb King. He's going to be playing out of his mind. You give him the Cassie as well, and we've seen that kind of as a contentious pick and ban. What does it take in your eyes to either ban the Cassie or let it go through? Because we've seen it banned out a lot. What's the reasoning maybe behind that ban, and what allows you to open it up and let it go through?
The big thing with banning Cassie is it opens a lot of space for Ruckus. Cassie and Ruckus kind of function on a side-by-side plane. The Ruckus really struggles against big game Cassie. His HP pool just gets bursted down really quickly. He's a really good target. So if you leave the Cassie up and Na'Vi gets it, it makes Phoenix's Ruckus pick that much better. And so that's kind of what I need to see. If they're leaving Cassie up, I want them to get it and make
Right.
Phoenix's life a little bit harder on the Ruckus.
And she's been certainly one of the most contended ones. She had a pretty high ban rate yesterday. Letting creatives get the Cassie was really tough on the side of Kanga, and creatives really took some of those games over. But looking into some of their strategy today, we have Phoenix standing by for an interview. So let's send it on down to him and hear what he's thinking.
Well, I'm here with Phoenix, and of course, Na'Vi are feeling pretty good today based on the atmosphere in the booth. You've been, well, dancing around up on things, singing songs, and it's your birthday, so how are you feeling today?
I feel great. Finally turned 22. I feel kind of old, even though I'm young. But,
That sentence makes me feel old.
Oh, I'm sorry. I make my teammates feel old when I say that as well. But yeah, I just got my pre-game stretches out, so I'm ready to go.
So, I said I was going to mention him, and I have to talk about it. Mutu being back this week. Yesterday, it looked really good for you guys, and now you're going up against Virtus.Pro, who I want to say might present a little more of a challenge than what Kanga was able to, just because of the way that they've been practicing. Do you think they're going to be a bigger threat, or do you think it's still going to be the 4-0?
Personally, I think that everyone's going to be a threat. We're just going to work towards MSI, which is the most important one. You have to qualify to be top 6. That's our goal, and then we're just all practicing towards MSI. So everyone's going to be a threat in that in our way there.
So just not bottom 2 is essentially your goal right now. Yeah. I have one more question to ask, and that is just about Grover. Yesterday, we saw Ferocity Grover come out for the first time in a long time. Do you guys think that that's going to be something you look at, or is that just kind of a NIP does NIP things?
I mean, Grover has been there since 2017, the first PPL lane when there was a full sustain meta, and that kind of came back here with the double supports, with the core and items being gone. So we are kind of used to it, and you will see more picks like that with the double supports.
Well, thanks for your time, dude. Happy birthday once again. Na'Vi are feeling ready here in the booth. Let's get back to the desk so we can kick off the set.
Feeling ready. I heard a little happy birthday on the end of that one. Feeling ready, feeling good, feeling 22 is Phoenix on that side. And I think that's something we've come to gather from Na'Vi. They just have a very uplifting, a very light atmosphere. They're confident in what they can bring. We'll take a quick look at the standings for today before we get into these matchups, see where things stand, and see what could potentially shake up. NIP, Natus Vincere, Space Station, and Envy round out your top 4. Woo. VP, Kanga, Pittsburgh, and Renegades, 5, 6, 7, and 8. I know you're excited to be in that top 4 spot. Looking at NIP and Natus Vincere as the 1 and 2 teams, NIP has brought a lot of interesting meta into their side. Is that really the driving force, do you think, behind the NIP success that they found so far, the interesting picks on their side?
I think so. Like, when you look at the situation that Virtus.Pro and Kanga were in this week, they both played the 2 European teams, and these 2 teams were scrimming each other on European servers. Right. They come in, and VP and Kanga have probably never seen these metas and stuff. So I think it's a really big disadvantage. I think they have a better spot today, though, because they saw what NIP could do.
Yeah.
I don't think that I think Na'Vi will actually play pretty similar to NIP because they developed that meta together.
And I think that's what we had an interview with the Kanga coach yesterday, and he kind of mentioned that, is that, NIP obviously has shown that they're going to branch out and do some interesting things, but Na'Vi, he said, they have a similar play style. They developed the meta in the same way, just as you said. So maybe looking to form some of that. We have Jaguar Falls, and you look at a map like Jaguar Falls, and looking at the rosters that you have on both sides, what are some high priority picks in your eyes for this map?
Point tanks for Na'Vi are huge. They love putting Lezion and Nara on this map, and it's a huge part of their strategy. And also, this is their pick. So I expect them to look for it early. Potentially, maybe VP could look to ban that out. But the way this draft is going, I have a feeling Na'Vi's going to force them into the con ban right here.
Well, they're going to get the Makoa. They're going to get the Torvald and Cassie off the board as well. Ban number 4, Con. We call Gore the predictor. But I think the big brain is going to come out from Meta Pusher today, and he's just going to be able to predict everything we see going on. As such, the Inara comes out first off the board here. Virtus.Pro is going to...
Nara is so good on this map. The point, the area all around it, her wall gets so much value. If you're at 80% and they're coming back to touch, you can wall off that main area and just completely deny it. I wonder what VP is going to do right here. They've got the Genos looking to maybe draft something aggressive who can push past the Inara.
And the Genos has been sort of the guy who's really come into the meta with the luminary buffs and all those sorts of things. Do you consider him to be, I mean, we see him first picked here. Do you think that's kind of where he belongs in that either first pick or ban him out sort of style? I guess it maybe depends on the map.
I definitely think so. He's very defining in the fact that he changes the way comps play.
Yeah.
You can pick more aggressive champions and let them get into the back line and do their work. I don't think we're going to see an Eevee on Jag. This isn't one of her really good maps. But I do like what Navi's doing, taking the Pip here. Pip Genos is a really good combination. It's almost impossible to kill a Loom boosted Pip. And it also enables less sustainy tank comps with the Genos because you have that supplementary healing from the Pip.
And they grab the Ruckus as well, and that's something you kind of touched on. You kind of ban out the Cassie, but that opens up the Ruckus. He's going to come through here, pick number 3 for Navi. The Barrack getting hovered on the opposite side.
Classic combo, Barrack Genos.
Yep.
He's hit so hard and really doesn't need much sustain on his own. It really allows you to use the pockets on other champions. And the Fernando is something VP used a lot yesterday. I don't know how good it's here. There's going to be a lot of execution-based matchups between the Pip and the Fernando. Will Mutu or Creatives be able to get chickens on the Fernando, or will Pooley be able to immortal them? There's a lot of just pure execution back and forth between Fern and Pip.
That's something interesting that we've kind of noticed is Fernando's sort of in that maybe one step down as far as tanks go. I mean, he's close. He's in a lot of these games. Is that sort of where you view him, maybe like one tier down from the Inara, the Barrack, the Ashe, sort of that side of things?
Absolutely. I think Fern's kind of like the bottom tier point tank and the bottom tier aggro tank, so you're not going to look to pick him up
That's
early.
spicy.
Ooh, Grover Moji, wow.
Well, talk to me about the Moji pick. What do you see in that?
She's really good at burning tanks, and this is honestly her best map. She's able to fight in dark and in sun, the enclosed areas, really, really well. I honestly, this comes kind of crazy. I think if I was VP, I'd probably end this off with a Drogue. They have 2 blasters in their damage positions, and only really the Ruckus with consistent ability to shoot him. Wormjets is pretty solid on this map. There'd be very little pressure for Fish. I wonder what they're going to do. The
Drogo
is interesting. The Drogue is a good answer to it. I like what they've done, but I don't know. This is interesting coming out in Game 1 from Navi.
It is very interesting. Well, you have a look at both teams. Do you give it to one side or the other off the bat?
Yeah, I think I'm going to give it to VP, honestly. I love Navi, but the Drogue looks really good into this Moji.
Well, you hear it from Meta Pusher himself. It is game number 1, so we're going to send it down to the casters to get things started.
Hey, you boys, well done there on the desk. Meta Pusher looking good, feeling good. Yeah. And you having a chance to get to talk to these guys, I think, down in the booth. They're feeling
it was the
very
most
goofy
Friday
today.
booth that I've ever been in.
But that goofy, Gore? But Moji goofy?
Well, so that's actually something that was interesting. If I had thought about it, just before the games were going live, Meta Pusher was saying that Navi has been trying to get Moji to work, but that they were losing with Moji whenever they played it. So the big question mark is whether or not that's going to work. I didn't even think about her being an option, because that's usually how far out of the meta she is.
I think that's one thing I definitely like about the top Premier League teams, especially the ones that feel like they can really get away with this type of stuff. And I think that's up to Virtus.Pro to be able to punish them for it, and a little bit of that Friday energy certainly here.
It's definitely
Studio
flowing
5.
through me.
We're good. You feeling good today?
Feeling
Is it
pretty
your
good.
birthday all of a sudden?
It is not, but knowing it's Phoenix's birthday, seeing him do a dance and sing
you
Old Town
life.
Horse or Old Town Road or whatever it's
Old
called.
Town Road, I think it is.
It gave me some extra energy.
Well, the big pick here is that Moji. You saw that she's running 2. Everything else is pretty standard. Let's take a quick peek-see at this Moji loadout before we ride into battle. Gore, if you would be so kind as to break it down.
Well, I'd actually like to see if it's the one I stole from you, because that's my Moji loadout. There was one you ran against me. I can't even remember if we were playing together or what, but the Moji loadouts can be ridiculously good. And of course, it is going to be fluffy. Actually, Symbiotic running through, so getting a lot of healing. And of course, the lifesteal being able to come through. So different than what I'm used to seeing. Scoot normally is going to be very far up there, but this is going to be focused more on just trying to kind of keep yourself alive, lifesteal, more healing. And it works well when you have, say, Grover Pip to keep you up.
Well, 42% for Virtus.Pro out of the gate. It's not looking great for Nafi's Mutu here on the Moji. He's marked up a couple of people with his magic barrier. 72% in climbing. Now Navi got to figure out how to put the pedal to the metal here, but do they have enough damage? Do they have ultimates? Right now, this is not a very lasting engagement. Not a lot of kills happening. First blood yet to fall.
I actually like Virtus.Pro kind of giving up the room. This is one of the big areas where, admittedly, Mutu is going to have a lot of trouble. The way Virtus.Pro are playing around this Moji is kind of pulling her into them. So you're going to be surrounded. You're going to walk into 3 people if you try to take this fight. You're not going to be able to get the damage you want. Of course, like they were saying on the desk, there's not anyone to really truly deal with Drogoz exactly. Phoenix is able to get the kill right there. And if you have a good Evil Mojo, it can change the game, but here comes Hecate.
Quick Evil Mojo, here it is, Enlightenment rips through Mutu to get to Lazy for a triple kill, looking for the quadra kill. He gets shut down, but Spunky is not looking like he's in a great spot. Pops his Whirlwind to make sure he and Mutu stay healthy. Dragon Punch is ready, but obliterated out of the sky. Spunky does a great job canceling Whirlwind and getting back to hucking axes.
The good news for the Drogoz here, at least, is going to be that he retains his ult. That's going to be the only thing that comes out of that. But, I mean, Virtus.Pro control that objective for 80% they get up to, and then it comes down to just a little bit of pressure here and there from Na'Vi. But it's not any insane pressure. Like, they're not really getting that many kills. It's just a little of focus here, a little bit of focus there, and a lot of distraction factor ends up resulting in it. And even what was almost a quadra kill for Hecate gets flipped on its head.
I still can't quite believe it, man. It's like it was theirs until it wasn't. They're leading 80% to almost nothing. Hecate gets a quadra kill. And then Na'Vi, just their incredible objective pressure, manages to bring it back. A big Evil Mojo, I think, is a big starting point to that. Fisheko also charges his Dragon Punch from an exposed position.
Yes. Nice. Right out in the open, mid-air.
He got kind of blown up. I'll be honest, he died a lot faster than I thought he would. But, you know, Moji's DPS is something we're not exposed to these days. So I'm very curious to see what type of damage Mutu's able to put out. Triple Evil Mojo out of the back line. 2 have already been killed for it. Mutu bouncing around the objective. He'll find another Virtus.Pro. Lose 3 for nothing on this defense, and Na'Vi inching ever closer to conversion.
I really want to see Moji be successful just as a kind of a showcase of every champion being viable somewhere. But this is one of the things, and this is actually something that if you watch console or have in the past, you'll recognize Moji is kind of played in a similar way to Ruckus, except way more flanky. She's just going to dive very deep, but will survive a lot, can heal up, but it's going to burn through people if they're not paying attention to her.
So what you're saying is
gets caught out.
Maybe those console players will have a chance after all with all their Moji expertise.
All that Moji expertise. Maybe it'll bring something to the table.
You'll never know until you try, kids. That's my message for the day. Lazy picks up 2 more before Na'Vi managed to get that one pushed on through. Good stuff there from Na'Vi in the first round. They hold on to a couple of ultimates as well. So far, I'm curious about this Moji loadout a little bit because the symbiote is not new for me, but the greater good, that lifesteal card when people are at max marks, that is a little bit new. And you can see he's detonating for about 1,000, I think, when they're at max stack. So he's going to be getting about 400 life when he's popping these max targets. And just talk to us a little bit more about how does Moji's kit work? How does it flow?
And this is actually the thing that's been more interesting is because they changed it very recently to make it so that the mark is, I want to say, easier to apply while also being harder to apply. But whenever you see a little star appear next to someone's name, that's really where you need to be looking at it. There's going to be a bar that fills up when the dragon fire is coming out, or it's just going to get fully filled up. And once it's fully lit like that, and you're going to see some bonus damage come out of this, it's going to be good for the Moji. But you can see it's just so awkward to try and do it. You have to charge it up for 1, so it's going to take channel time. But then trying to get the burst off and stay safe is always very difficult. Magic Barrier, if you shoot it, does apply it immediately. But once that barrier's down, you're still pretty easy to kill.
Enlightenment and some more damage from a Fire Spit. And the Binary Star coming through here to combine for a couple more kills for Virtus.Pro. Comeback mechanic enabled as well. And that might just do it for Virtus.Pro. If they can lock down Spunky here, and they do, comeback mechanic is going to make this payload theirs. But you're right, the right head shoots that stream. That applies, you can see that little icon filling up the star icon. It illuminates when it's full. The left head shoots those little spits, the projectiles that detonate these marks. So you can see he's building up to 10, building, pop, building, pop. And he wants to get these done. Alternatively, also like Gore mentioned, the ultimate is ready too there, so he could be looking to pop this at any time. How does the ultimate work?
It turns you into a dog treat, dragon treat, I guess technically is the accurate term for it, but then it's an execute if you are able to chase down and munch on that snack. It is going to be a free kill, very much like a Dragon Punch, but maybe a little harder to execute on because it won't necessarily put you out of position the same way, and unfortunately right there you see that it can in fact miss being able to come through. You will get a full kill onto somebody like a Fernando. Makes it very easy, very execute heavy on the side of Na'Vi.
I'll be honest, kids, Moji ult is scuffed Pip ult. Pretty much. Single target versus multi-target. Doesn't go through shields as you just saw. Pip ult does go through shields. kind of takes a little bit to charge. Pip ultimate charges extremely quickly, so if Mutu can get some value out of this one, more power to him, but I'm not sure that I'm really expecting much.
The thing I'm actually like looking at for this, and this is actually going back to like when you mentioned Greater Good, it's 400 health if he hits like 1,000 pop, but you're only getting that if you're able to get that damage off, right? That lifesteal is going to be nice, but there's going to be certain scenarios, where you're going to get it and certain scenarios where you're not. The last couple of times we've seen him go in for a fight, that health hasn't meant anything versus the kind of typical loadout, and I can't even remember all the names of the cars other than Scurry.
They're all like Scurry, Scoot,
Scurry, Scoot, and things like that, where it's going to keep you, along with Toot, alive longer. It's going to heal you up, maybe not as quickly, but overall your sustain is going to be a little bit more through the roof, I would say.
Yeah, so Toot is the talent that he's chosen. This is, basically leaving a little cloud right as soon as he uses mobility skill, which is Scoot, not to be confused with Toot, which is the talent. You leave a little cloud, your allies can pop in there, you get a little bit of healing from that bad boy. Used to do move speed, I believe is just now healing. But yeah, you're right, Moji just saw that rework. And I think the theme of why, like the goal of that rework was she has this cool shooting mechanic, like build the stacks, pop them, build the stacks, pop them. Before, it wasn't a DPS increase it wasn't, you weren't even really incentivized to, look at your stacks,
you
pop
just
them.
hold both.
You hold both,
legs.
exactly. You would just go ham. But now you can see Mutu has placed a lot of value. I feel not only because of the rework ore, but because of that card, Greater Good. It's all or nothing. 10 stacks, max magic stacks. You have to be popping those when the symbol, the star, is completely illuminated next to the champion's nameplate, or you won't get any value from that card. And he's gone. He's put 5 points into it. It's basically the core crux of this loadout. His other 5-point card is just increased healing when he's low health. So he's trying to get more out of Greater Good. He's trying to get more out of Greater Good when he's low HP. Is all it is. Just trying to stay alive.
If we see in this round a good Evil Mojo that can get rid of one front line and then a good Snack Time that can get rid of the other front line, I think we're going to see Na'Vi try to close this game out. But I feel like that's what Moji's bringing to it. Like yesterday we got to see the first Buck game. And Buck still does Buck things, like nothing too surprising out of that.
Yeah.
We got to see Dredge, and he was played slightly different, but that's because some of his cards have changed in the past, so you're not going to see as much spam out of him, and more exactly what Mutu was playing it as, where I'm going to get in your face, like I'm just going to look for still some spam, try to get as many reloads as I can, but it's just explosive. Moji,
he's going
gets
for
the
it.
snack, but
he lands it.
He's already popped out. Hekate's already done.
But hey, you see the difference is that little tree, that dog tree can't be killed. Mutu has to physically run his character model into that little doggy tree, or he will not be able to get the kill. The biggest thing that I'm noticing after the rework is that those Moji stacks, they apply so much quicker.
Yes.
So you can get to that max stacks and detonate and actually use this very unique, cool shooting mechanic here. Enough about Moji, back to the game for a little bit. Virtus.Pro have just captured yet another payload.
Yeah.
And thankfully, that was an easy window to talk about Moji, because the last round was literally VP capture the payload with the comeback mechanic and then make no progress. So it's a good time. And it's definitely worth it. This is the first time we're seeing Moji picked in the Premier League this season. And to be honest, it's the first time I think we're seeing Moji picked on PC, not for the meme. Not when a team is already up 3-0 or 4, you know what I mean? It's like, it's serious.
It's one of those things that I can tell you, Na'Vi, out of this matchup are going to be the favored victor, right? They're the ones that, admittedly, if you're thinking who's going to win 4 maps, most people are leaning towards Na'Vi, but Virtus.Pro is not a team to mess around with, and you can kind of see that here. Yes, you win that first point, but that last objective is a great example. That Snack Time doesn't really afford you anything except maybe a little bit of time without Hekate shooting. And then there was an Evil Mojo, didn't really make a big impact in it. This has been the thing that's been making the big splashes. It's Dosups on this Barrack. He's finding a lot of shots, finding a lot of kills, and being able to kind of put his name on the mark. I mean, it's not surprising that we've seen Barrack top, 80,000, 100,000 damage in games.
Running through a couple people there. Mutu picks up 2 more. I think that brings him to even. Should be about 9-9. We just saw the damage charts as well. He's sitting about middle of the pack. 9-10 as he goes down there to Fisheko. The problem that Meta Pusher was worried about. Fisheko's doing okay. 12-10. He's not blowing anybody away. I'm saying he's died more than anyone else on his team. And the primary concern from the desk was who is going to be able to pressure out this character in the sky.
Well, it turns out, I guess a little bit of Moji, because I feel like I've seen Mutu put a lot of damage to kind of put the fear of the air into this dragon. But it hasn't been enough. I mean, I guess it's been consistent enough that they're getting the kills, but for me, it hasn't been enough to say that it's not working for them. It's just kind of the way Na'Vi play, the way that they dance around objectives, the way they rotate as a team. It's just, it's something you have to deal with. And, you know, playing 2 European teams in 1 week, Virtus.Pro, like, this is the back-to-back that's probably going to be the most difficult for them, right? Where you're going from NIP to Na'Vi, 2 teams that have very distinct styles for themselves, that they scrim each other all the time. That's actually something they had talked about on Esports Weekly. Phoenix is saying, yeah, we play NIP because we're in Europe, they're in Europe. It's a lot easier for us.
Yeah, I think, you know, both of those teams do not have a house here, have not fully relocated to Alpharetta just yet. So they have to still worry about those geographical, you know, barriers and ping and things like that when they are scrimming. Overtime is starting now. Virtus.Pro have gotten their feet under them for the first time on offense, and they have the chance to push this one in, tie up the game. Ultimate's already in a big way on both sides. All 10 for Virtus.Pro and for Na'Vi. Pacheco finds the first one. Phoenix goes down, and Dosip looks like he might be joining the land of the dead here shortly, but is it enough?
I mean, right now, just trying to be able to get as aggressive as possible. Hikate staying alive in these fights is probably the biggest thing because he's doing so much damage. He's hitting so many shots.
He's weaving.
And those are the moments. He has an Enlightenment as well, which normally I wouldn't say is going to be big impact.
What
and,
the?
Well, I mean, that was an ult.
Did he think the Drogos was an enemy? I'm not sure what happened there with that Enlightenment, but it does not find a home. There wasn't even anybody on screen. And sometimes in the heat of the moment, you just kind of want to continue to pop off, continue to flow. That's the way Leon feels when you play her, you know? Virtus.Pro do get this one through. They do tie up the game. And just like that, it feels like they're right back in it.
I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. That was to put the fear of God into Na'Vi. They are going to come out or else that Enlightenment's going to connect and they're all going to die. It's going to make a big difference. But these kind of rotations, this is actually normally what you would see. I want to say, actually, this is exactly what you're seeing out of Na'Vi because Na'Vi are the ones behind Virtus.Pro. That's Virtus.Pro's base that Dosip's was looking at. But because of that, Dosip's making the call, and I guess the team making the call, to turn around, collapse on them, and kind of pincer them in this awkward area, starts opening up that push for them. I mean, my eyes, again, I think Evil Mojo has a ton of potential. It's going to be the thing that's probably going to make the biggest difference. That comboed with some rockets are easy kills for Na'Vi. But I need snack time to hit as well. I think, both of these ults to connect and do well.
Let's get at least one snack.
To be able to get Na'Vi a win.
Well, there it is. Evil Mojo will grab a kill onto Puleule. Mutu gets topped off by Creative. Time and space to counter out Hexafire, but Phoenix will survive. Slow lands on her 2 in the backside. Creative's trying to keep the pressure up. Another hero goes out onto Lazy. 24% to 12 on the objective. Mutu goes slipping and sliding into the back line to start crushing some of these tanks. Magic Barrier, big heal, 1,800 from the Pip. Thank you so much to that Symbiote loadout card. Dragon Punch is going to roar in to try and even the score.
I mean, 75 right now picked up for Na'Vi. Finally going to get contested, but it is all the lifesteal, all the increased healing, and all this damage coming down from Mutu that is making life a little easier. Unfortunately for him, he's not going to be able to do too much against the front lines just yet, but now burning through a Drogoz, burning through a Leon just before that. It's opening up so many doors for Na'Vi to dance around on this objective.
Lazy picks up another one in the back line, and Nara killing a Leon. I mean, the flank is coming out here from the Stone Warden. Now, on the objective, Virtus.Pro playing for the capture at the moment. But they got to worry about this fight. Is it going their way? Dosip, should I rotate? Should I keep to my guns here? Throws down the barricade. 1v1ing with Phoenix. Phoenix doesn't love the duel, but Dosip is basically out of cooldowns here. He gets the fail-safe reset. A little bit more shielding for this barrack, but he's basically out of resources on the point.
Snack time was used, but Mutu ended up dying for it. As you look at it now, you're looking at Hexafire that's almost recharged once again, and Evil Mojo that's at 70%. If they can keep this fight going longer, those ults might come back in time, and it's going to end up being Dosip's versus the world right now on the objective. Finally, they get rid of the barrack. Fernando's going to come in, but you're fighting a 4v3.
Overtime started for Natus Vincere. 2 more kills in the feed, 3 more for them. Akate answers back. He's ripping through. He's trying to bring this one home for the boys. Enlightenment hits 2, but it's not enough damage, and Spunky just falls back onto the whirlwind. A Hexafire comes through. It's hard fought both ways, but Na'Vi do what Na'Vi do. They don't have as many kills as you. They don't do as much damage as you did, but they win the damn game when it's all said and done.
They play Paladins at its finest. There's a reason this team has made it to a world champion stage 2 times in the last year and have been able to win at least one of those, push the other one to 6 games. They understand this game at a level, and even though Moji comes in and admittedly, to me, doesn't really do much, still has an impact that game.
Very, very interesting game. I'm super excited we have Meta Pusher on the desk because I can't wait to hear his thoughts on game number 1.
Thank you, guys. Game number 1 in the books, and Na'Vi coming out in a big way. Meta Pusher, I think we have to talk about the Moji pick. It didn't have like an absurd slash line, but I think it had an impact in that game. What was your take after looking back on the Moji and the whole Natus Vincere team?
Honestly, even though Na'Vi got the win, I still don't really like the Moji pick. I mean, it did the job and they got the win, but it wasn't clean.
That's true.
That was a really close match on Na'Vi's pick, you know, in the first map of the set. I don't think VP really has anything to be ashamed of when you're playing up against a comp with so much freaking sustained like Na'Vi had right there. This is pretty much a all-tank support comp. Like, you have Mutu with Symbiotic, 50% increase healing, Creatives with Moxie, 50% increase healing, and a Grover in the middle of the group with, you know, that passive heal, all that huge healing numbers. I think that it was respectable that VP kept it as close as it was.
No, I agree, and I think I saw a lot of the same things. Was just they were able to sustain so much longer throughout these fights. The Moji, I mean, we saw it was like a 13, 16, and something slash line. Good for a 1.3 KDA, but a lot of it was just turning heads, keeping himself alive through these fights, and doing it for a long amount of time. A nice double kill here, and he's able to find a lot of pressure.
A lot of stall.
A lot of stall, right. That's a good way to summarize kind of that thought.
You just sustain. You just sustain. You take the attention, and then you pop your barrier right here, you know, stall more stuff out and allow your tanks the time to get onto that. Like, because at the end of the day, we weren't seeing really Creatives and Mutu getting the frags. It was Lazy on the Inara. It was Faye on the Ruckus who were able to get into the back line and kill the Leons and kill the Drogos. So Mutu did a respectable job of opening it up. I don't know. That might have been a kind of a flex pick to try and put VP in a bad situation. You know, you open up in game 1 and you play Moji and you beat somebody. Maybe a weak team is going to be defeated by that. We'll have to see if VP can, you know, come back from it. They do have their map pick coming up, so you know.
And it was close.
Yeah,
it was 4-3.
Yeah, and when you're talking about somebody's map choice, that's what Na'Vi wanted to play. It was their first one. They're expected to win that. I always expect the team who picks the map to win it, and if it goes to 4-3 like that, that was close and that was respectable.
I mean, we talk about map picks. I mean, Jag Falls is, I think most would agree, that's a map that most people probably have in their back pocket there. Do you think, in the case of Na'Vi, do you think it's the Jag Falls with that comp is kind of what they were ready to put out onto the, like, do you think that's a premeditated thing? Like, we're going to whip out the Moji in game 1, try to make them uncomfortable on Jaguar Falls?
Maybe not premeditated, but it definitely seemed like they drafted around that. They had the sustain. They got the pip early. They secured the Grover, and they had the 2 tanks who can frag. So I think maybe the Moji wasn't premeditated. I honestly would have liked other picks. I think if they had picked Zen right there, Zen is a good look for Mutu. He's played it on Jaguar Falls. He's played it on any map, and he does really well. I think he would have been a lot more effective pressuring the backline and doing the same thing. Magic Barrier, Billow, they kind of function the same way. So if Na'Vi will clean up their draft and maybe take things a little bit more serious, things might be rough for VP. We have to see where they go with their next
I know
map.
that you were actually a fan of the VP draft, I think, coming out of the picks and bans phase. So playing it to a 4-3 score line, I think, is pretty respectable. In that case, we'll have to see which direction they choose to take it.
And it's a good sign that they saw this wild card, this Moji they got thrown out, and they answered to it. They weren't flustered in the draft. They picked the right champ, the thing that I would have picked. You know, if I'm Spuds, I'm telling them to pick Drogue right there. It looked free. And I think Fish did a good job. But ultimately, the point control, the sustain, everything was too much from Na'Vi.
Yeah, I mean, when you looked at the stat lines, it was like 150,000 damage on the Drogos, 140,000 on Hecate on the Leon as well. I mean, they played their comp well.
Yeah.
It's just the sustain, the fights just went on a little bit too long. We're going to get a look at map number 2 in our set, Virtus.Pro selecting Frog Isle.
It's a big one for them. Sniper heavy. They pick this map a lot. Fish gets to play really aggressive picks. The Eevee, he likes, I mean, if Torv is open, I don't expect Torv to be open. Na'Vi likes to ban it, but Fish with a Torv pocket, I mean, we made that mistake when we played them, and he just wrecked us.
Yeah, so the sniper's kind of the storyline to look at here on Frog Island. What we've seen some teams do, well, we'll have to see what they decide to ban. Some teams elect to go for like a Kinessa ban, and that only opens up the Strix for one team or the other, and that kind of throws a little bit of a wrench in the mix. Ashe is going to be ban number 1 here.
Ashe is a really good aggro tank on this map. Ruckus kind of struggles, so it's a really good ban for them in that situation. But I'm a little bit hesitant because I think if this game comes down to passive comps versus passive comps, I give a huge edge to Na'Vi. It's their MO. They've been playing it they've been playing passive comps for the whole time, and Frog is one of the most passive maps. There's no flank routes. It's really hard. You have to pick an Eevee or something that can blink over the walls to really put any pressure on the flank. And Ashe is good. I mean, she's able to ult up and just, plant the flag over the walls. Same. There's not many characters that can get up and over like that for free.
Well, it is going to be the Ashe. It is going to be the Makoa off the board as well. There goes the Khan. So, no, Ashe is, I guess, somewhat interesting in this regard.
3 aggro tanks.
3 aggro tanks, sure.
Khan's really good on this map. I always joke around and say that if you ult somebody as Khan, you can literally close your eyes and spin your mouse, and you've got a 70% chance of throwing him off the map on Frog Isle. There's hazards everywhere. Is Navi going to ban Torvald right here? Cassie really isn't. Cassie really isn't in the equation for bans on Frog Isle because snipers are so much more prevalent. She really gets outranged and stuff. She's not bad at fighting danger on the suicide side of the map, but the Torvald definitely makes a ton of sense. What will VP pick?
That's the question. I mean, there's a lot on the board. Both snipers are still available. The Cassie is around as well, though.
I think you don't want to take a sniper because both are still up.
Right,
you don't
both
really
are up.
the matchup isn't really heavily in one way. I think VP needs to take a point tank right here in Nara or Barrack, but they're actually going to go the Genos and look for another aggressive comp. This is interesting because Navi, when you give them the opportunity on this map and even other maps where it's less effective, they love going double point tank. They pick the Inara and the Barrack, and they really just hold both sides of the map. It's like there's a defensive line blocking you from getting to their back line. I wonder if that's what they're going to go for. It seems good because all the aggro tanks are banned. So what are you going to pick a Ruckus to try and push out a Barrack?
That's true.
That's going to be really tough.
I mean, is Inara now the highest priority front line that's still around? Do you pick her in one of these 2 picks here if you're Navi?
I think you're definitely taking one of Inara and Barrack. I don't think you really care which one if you're just picking one of them.
You are not
But I think they're going to go both.
here.
Let's see what they get here after this Inara.
So they snagged the Inara and they snagged the Barrack as well.
It's really good on this
You're
map.
too good
What
at
can
your
I say?
job. You're too good at your job.
What can I say?
Inara, Barrack off the board. So now looking at VP, the Inara, the Barrack are on the side of Navi.
I think at this point,
What do you look for Virtus.Pro?
I think VP will probably take their choice of sniper right here. Maybe grab the okay. Honestly, I expected them to take the Kinessa. Hecate has played more of the Strix, but it's usually forced by a Kinessa ban or something. So it's interesting to see that he chooses to prioritize the Strix over the Kinessa.
What is sort of that? Because we've seen that a lot, actually. We see the Kinessa as the sniper that people go to. What is it about her that kind of puts her a little higher up than the Strix? Or is it really just personal preference?
It's definitely personal preference. What Kinessa brings that Strix doesn't is really like the instant delete capability if you hit a headshot or if you pop the headhunter and you catch somebody out of position. Whereas Strix, I don't know, they're both kind of hard to dive. They have their own ways of fighting. Strix has DR when he scoped in if he wants to build his loadout around that. He also has the stealth. The Zen is interesting. Especially because Eevee's still up. I generally think Eevee's much better at diving a Strix than Zen is, but I mean, it's Mewtwo, so...
It is Mewtwo. You wanted the Zen in the last game for Mewtwo. You're going to get it in this one. Looking like an Eevee Ruckus on the side of Virtus.Pro. So the Inara Barrack in the point tank heavy bans go over to Navi, but the Ruckus and the Fernando looking like
I think this
will make its way over to VP.
I do not envy whichever VP tank is going to have to play this Fernando because matching up versus an Inara with a Damba pocket on points when you're a Fernando with a Genos heal. Oh, Dredge! Wow.
Hello. Wait, we were thinking. All right, so we were thinking Mewtwo was on the Zen, but now you get the Dredge. The Kinessa wasn't picked. I don't know. Break down what your thoughts are here on the side of Navi.
I think they're just going to try and play passive and use this Dredge spam to kind of make life really hard on the outside of the map for the Ruckus Eevee. If he's able to get those broadside, those mines back on a Eevee blink spot or something, it really opens up a lot. I definitely like Navi's comp.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, they're different, I guess.
The Dredge is interesting. I've honestly never seen Dredge on Frog, so I don't know how it's going to go.
Well, we don't know. Hands are in the air, but Navi are the ones who pick it up. Mewtwo had some pretty good success with it yesterday onto Ice Mines. Now we're going to get to take a look at it on Frog Isle. Virtus.Pro, though, on the opposite side, they find themselves Genos. They find themselves Strix and Eevee as well. But how it all works out, we're going to have to wait and see. Game number 2 about to get underway. Let's send it down to the casters.
Thank you, boys. More spice from Navi. Never before seen is the Dredge on Frog Isle, and I can't really think of a match that I've seen it either. Dredge has been picked such a small handful of times. You could probably count it on one hand at this point in the Premier League sense. And I only really remember Ice Mines, but it looks like young Mutu has gone for a different style than we're used to seeing.
I mean, this is already, first off, different because he's gone Hurl as opposed to the normal kind of spam reload scuttle that we have. So you're already looking at more.
You get to talk about another champ.
A different champion, a different talent. And this one's going to be looking at that harpoon. You're going to be looking at the cooldown because it's not going to exist overall. You're going to be looking at him kind of going through. Still looking more at kind of keeping himself alive, increase your maximum health. But Mortal Skewer is the better card there. 400 health whenever he hits his harpoon. So if you're looking at the Moji healing from last game, same number, different ability.
There it is. So off and away we go. And Gore, I think we should just get this out of the way right now. What is my allotment of yeets here as play-by-play caster of Harpoon Dredge?
As many as you feel in the heat of the moment.
Wow. Okay. Thank you so much for the carte blanche on yeet. You guys are in for a treat. Fasheko does find first blood, though. In all seriousness, Na'Vi are not really getting much out of this Dredge at the moment. Fasheko blinking in, blinking out, trying to get value on Frog Isle as he does with the Eevee, but Mutu skewers him into the ground. Lazy Void gripped up and pinned to the wall with a nice shot from the Talon Rifle. 96% for Virtus.Pro. But we've seen this movie before, Gormizer. This looks a lot like point number 1 on Jag.
And so far, it's working the exact same way. I mean, I don't even see Na'Vi winning that big of a fight. They get a couple of kills, and it's enough to push Virtus.Pro away, but I feel like they seed that ground so incredibly fast. They just say, you know what, take it, have the point. Of course, that is because they have the 96 to work with, so they're not too worried about getting back onto it, but you kind of have to be a little worried about the zone control that a Dredge can bring to the table, especially when he plays window like this.
Yeah, taking out this Ruckus.
Oh, hello.
Look at that. He's going to go in. Shortcut onto the objective. Hangman's Rise. The amped jump gets him up into the air and up into safety. It's just a lot of burst damage all at once, cracking on the objective, but it is immortaled out by Fernando. Dome Shield slams down afterward from Phoenix. Didn't have a great performance on Barrack yesterday, but it's looking good today so far. Phoenix picks up 2 more, and the objective, the superstar play from the superstar player, and the gun twirl emote to put the cherry on top.
So the 3 maps that Dredge is usually, I want to say, and usually is used very loosely there, the map he's usually played on is Ice Mines. Then you could convince me Serpent Beach and Splitstone Quarry, right? Where there's a nice, really high balcony where he can shoot down onto the objective, and that's going to be his goal. With the way Mutu has been playing it, and the fact that, first off, he is willing to get as aggressive as he does, it's kind of changing the way he's going to be seen. But Frog Isle still kind of adheres to those, I want to say, standards. You have a little balcony that you're standing on, you're shooting down onto the point, kind of a fishbowl effect where you're looking down into the center. But he doesn't mind jumping into the fishbowl, which is something that has not come through. Nick, your yeet counter is pretty low there.
It is. I am going to use them wisely. I've been given carte blanche, and I don't want to abuse my power. 18k damage, though, pretty low for the Dredge as far as the damage charts go. I don't expect him to have a ton of damage. Again, like with this style, against a triple tank, I expect him to be hitting a lot more shots, a lot of those reload explosions, that type of stuff. Still 3-1, though. I think the most impressive thing about that fight from Mutu's point of view was just knowing when it was time to go. When it was time to shortcut in, bounce up into the air, he just full committed to that fight. And that's a very cool thing. I think very all-in, full commit types of comps are very, very fun to watch. Akate flashbangs 4 people, so they're all blind. That's going to be wearing off just now, but Na'Vi just smush it through. And you talked a little bit about how, man, they're just seeding the ground. They're just backing off. Yeah. I think the strongest part of this composition is the Barrack and Nara Damba pocket. Like, that, those 3 characters can walk almost wherever they feel like, especially if their ultimates are up.
Especially if you underestimate Barrack as
Barrack
well.
highlights pause.
His damage.
Hit that gun twirl, baby.
Is something that I feel like a lot of people, again, and you roll back, and I'm going to mention your least favorite talent in the game here. You roll back to Architectonic times, and turrets are doing everything. There's not a lot of damage coming out of this guy. I don't even know if bowling ball was a card back then. Like, things that make him what he is today didn't exist. But now it's like, can you hit your shots?
Yeah.
Can you get these resets? Can you use your dash appropriately? And when you have someone like Phoenix playing it, like, it becomes almost a damage champion, similar to what we saw out of Alex last week.
It's got to be in the wheelhouse, I think, for Phoenix. He got kind of boo-booed on yesterday when he was playing this pick, but he's not one, I think, to be outdone, or he's not one to give up. So he's back on it today with the Barrack, and he's throwing out a Dome Shield now because the 1,000 nations of the Virtus.Pro Empire are bearing down upon him, and they're going to get him too. Puleoli goes right under the Dome Shield, does not care about that ultimate, and moves that Barrack back to spawn. And Nara will join him now. 2-0. Na'Vi are up. This one, just like Jack Falls, is starting to play out VP's way.
And comeback mechanic, a couple of dismounts, a good Eevee, which Fish Echo calling him good, I feel like is a disgrace. A great Eevee being able to come through and just create some space for you. That means you should be able to capture this and might actually get one touchdown thanks to that dash from Creatives being able to kind of whirl in, billow in. Unfortunately, doesn't make it out alive, and it's still 99-27, but they have a fighting chance because of it.
The zone on Frog Isle, and especially just this composition can more safely zone, I feel like, as well. Lazy does a good job. Gets the wall up on the objective just so he can touch, keep this overtime going. It's probably going to cost him his life eventually, but he's doing a really good job stalling this one out. Mutu falls here. The tanks are holding it down for VP, and it's all up to Hecate and Fish Echo to tee this one off. Hecate finds 3 on the Strix up over the wall for the cleanup kill. It'll belong to Pule Ule, but the point and the payload belong to VP.
I think the assessment that Virtus.Pro have put on to the fight, especially after last game, I think is appropriate. Is like, if you see Mutu, you see Creatives, you have to give them the credence of time. You have to recognize they're going to do damage. But look, 3-4-6, 3-6, and 4. It's not really the cleanest game. They're not the ones that are making all this room. You have to look at Spunky, you have to look at Phoenix, and then when you can afford the time, you have to try and kill the Inara as well, because those are the 3. Like you said after round 1, it's really just that core combo that is winning them this game, or that has gotten them any of the points they have, because you just can't displace them. And admittedly, Barrick is doing enough damage with Mutu and Creatives to make sure that they are still keeping up.
VP always have the benefit of they're not exactly innovating right now either. Na'Vi are innovating. They're trying to make new things work. They're trying to invest in themselves now while they're ahead, to stay ahead, to make sure that they don't get crept up on, that nobody kind of starts to surprise them with new things. They want to stay ahead of the pack, ahead of the curve here, and they're doing a pretty good job of it. But it looks like there's some kinks that come along with this. It's not easy what they're doing, or everybody would do it. They're struggling a little bit with the Moji. They got the win, though. They're struggling a little bit with this dredge, but they're still ahead. It still feels like it basically did on Jaguar Falls.
I mean, right now, Fish Echo creating a lot of room. The difference between this and Jaguar Falls now has been how far this payload is moving and how likely it is to actually get converted because of the way Frog Isle is laid out. Finally, some contesting coming through. There's going to be a dome shield to try and stop it as fast as possible. There's still going to be a minute left on Frog Isle. Plenty of time, especially if Fish Echo can kind of keep up this distraction dance that he's doing on the right-hand side.
Yeah, Spunky's pretty low right now. Put a couple of shots on a Lazy. Doesn't like what he sees. Might have just sorted himself off the map. Pixel perfect landing there, whether he meant to or not. That's the way it went. 14 streak for Fish Echo's Eevee. 16 streak for Vex's Genos as he starts to back off. This is why those streaks are so high on Genos, guys. Anytime people start to get into trouble, he just goes, ooh, and he starts to kind of float away from danger. Float away from the fight here, making sure that he keeps that streak number nice and high. Fish Echo in, soaring around as well, looking for more shots, blinking back out. And this defense might just go quietly into that good night. Nobody quite in range of touching yet, but if Lazy dies, and he does, that might be the catalyst that they needed to get this one started. Mutu comes flying in again, too. I love watching that, man. Hangman's Rise, what a card.
It's really fun, and it's actually one of those things I didn't even bother looking for it, but when you come through your teleporter and you have that jump, right? You go up into the air. It's something you don't really expect out of a dredge. He's not meant to be that high up, especially with considering literally only one teleport ability. Not a lot of movement in his kit. So it's always fun, but right now they're pushing overtime. Still looking pretty good. They might be able to get the kill on Mutu here. Fish Echo does fall down. Pule Ule falls down. The kills are coming up blue.
Trade. 2 blue in a row. Uh-oh, could this be Virtus.Pro getting some momentum here? These shots need to connect. 2 missed in a row, 3 missed in a row. Hiding behind the payload, though. As soon as he's got an opportunity, Hecate lands it, and the payload will go through. And Virtus.Pro, just like that, will tie it up 2-2 here on Frog Isle.
Different territory than they've had before. Fish Echo right there on your screen has been doing so much work for this. And it's not anything I think that you'll see immediately translated to like a slash line. Maybe not even his damage numbers, but it's this kind of play where it's just like, I'm going to hit a long range shot, I might blink in, soar out. Like, I'm just going to keep you distracted, and I'm going to keep you low enough and in danger enough that maybe if I don't walk away with every kill that I go in for. I'm 7-4 and 13, so I'm doing better than it could be, but I just got to set him up for Hecate. Like, we just have to play this as a trade-off. Like, if I can hit them low, then he can kill him, or if he hits them low, I can kill him.
Yep. Items starting to get into that late-game territory. Nothing too funny here. Only 1 resilience. A couple rejuve sprinkled on Virtus.Pro. 1 for Na'Vi as well, but everything is pretty much teed up, ready to go. Core items online. Ultimates flying. Vex 30 finds the first blood. with a nice time and space teed up by an Ice Storm. Kraken comes through, ice blocked away by Fasheko. That was just to try and keep Lazy safe, but it does not accomplish the task as he is now dead.
You know, it might be early to call it. Dredge,
Whoa.
not as impressive on Frog Isle as what we saw in Ice Mines yesterday. I think I might throw that one out there.
Again, Navi almost lost last game too with Emoji, right? So, you know, you got to echo what Meta was saying on the desk. It worked, but did it? But did it though? I don't know. They're taking risks, man. They're rolling the dice. They're trying new things. Navi are trying to stay ahead of the curve and figure out a new way to play the game and show people something they've never really seen before. Sometimes those risks always don't pay off. Sometimes they're not that smooth at the start. Keep in mind how good we talked about Virtus.Pro being this week, Gormizer. Think about all the steps and strides they've made to be in this conversation. Navi are kind of just like trying stuff out and not getting blown out of the water. You know what I mean?
And I actually want to roll this back just yesterday, where it comes down to the fact that Frog Isle's one of the 2 maps that Virtus.Pro were, I believe. Actually, no, it's the map Kango was able to take off of Navi. Maybe just not the strongest Navi map overall when they come through. Definitely having a lot of strength for the other team. Of course, that was map 3 yesterday. Here is map 2, so there's a little more room to play with. Maybe you get that area where you get the next map, the 3rd map pick, and you kind of put yourself up for success. But Mutu Spunky getting some kills in right now.
There it is.
Very much like what we've seen in the past. This might just be a very long range.
What a combo. They have all the reload mechanics in the game, too. So that's pretty important. These funky reloads.
I want to see a Scuttle plus, I can't even remember the name. Is it Wakona's Curse or
Snake
Wakona's
Toss,
Wrath?
I think it's called.
Snake Toss? Probably. That sounds way more accurate.
That's what I call it. I think that's what it's classified as on the damage chart. You know, I'm an upstanding citizen of the community, so I don't play those trash talents. I don't force my teammates to go through that at any point. That's Charles' territory. He's a Smite designer now, so we don't have to put up with that anymore.
Not anymore. I'll have to tell Bitey to go play support again so he can do it one more time.
46 on the clock here. 3 and 2 is the scoreboard, and sometimes you
just
gotta,
that deep sigh.
You gotta let it lay, baby. You gotta let it lay. Fasheko finds 1. Love what we're seeing here today. Fun day. Phoenix's birthday. They're trying new stuff, having some fun on Frog Isle, and remember, it is the Virtus.Pro offense here. They're trying to get this one pushed through. Only a couple seconds. Fasheko just puts it together in the back line, and now he's looking for Lazy, and out of nowhere, a triple kill. After what felt like a very quiet end to this round, Fasheko will find 4. He's looking for his 5th now in the back line, and Mutu won't give it to him. He shortcuts himself right back to spawn. But the little fishy swims and breathes new life into this offense for Virtus.Pro right down in the final seconds of the round.
And any other map in overtime, it's such a long, arduous push. Do you think you can win those fights to keep it up? This is the amount of pressure you need to be able to keep this up on Frog Isle. You can already see that payload is moving quickly across the ground. You cannot leave it for a second, though, but if you find moments like this, you find kills like those. Phoenix, Mutu both offline right now. Another beautiful headshot coming down from Makate. Cleaned up by Vex. Fasheko playing the way he is. This might be the end of the game.
It might be here. Virtus.Pro primed to take game number 2 over Navi. Risks were taken, and this is what it looks like when maybe they don't pay off. The wall goes up. Fasheko finds the kill. He's already clapping. He knows his boys have got this one from here. VP tie up the set 1 apiece.
Now, my question comes down to 2 things. One, Virtus.Pro playing that amazingly, but Fasheko has a stellar moment to revive that push and stop it from going.
Yeah, where the hell did that come from?
It's just all natural quadra kill, you know, just casual, whatever.
Casual AF.
But Dredge has come through on Frog Isle, not a map we're used to seeing. Moji on Jaguar Falls is at least something that's happened in the past, but my question is, Phoenix, you know, it's his birthday. He's been singing Old Town Road. Do you think the picks and bans are just him singing too much that they have to just auto-lock whatever they want?
Well, they've tried Moji. They've tried Dredge. We might have to go ahead and put those horses in the back as we send it to the desk here. Get their thoughts on Frog Isle.
Frog Isle, map number 2. Whew, that was a spicy one, Meta Pusher. And I think you have to look at yet again, we have to look at the spicy pick on the side of Navi. The Dredge, the Hurl Dredge of all things, coming out. Fell flat this time. The emoji came out in game 1, worked out well for them. But Mutu on the Dredge, 7 and 12. Bit of a rough slash line there for him. What were your takeaways looking at the way Dredge worked? Would you have have rather had the broadside dredge, or which way are you looking at that?
I'd rather have not dredge at all.
Not dredge at all.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at this, and Kinessa's open, not banned. I don't
That's
really
true.
know what
That's
Na'Vi was
right.
doing. There was potentially a little bit of hubris there. I mean, they won
Right.
with Moji last game. Maybe Mutu's feeling himself and wants to flex. I don't doubt that this is a practice strategy that they've ran, but VP handled it beautifully. They had a very aggressive comp, and they were able to get the frags. Fish looked absolutely insane
Yeah.
right here. Essentially 1v4, well, 1.5, because he does have that Genos pocket, but
That's true.
I just think that if they had a Kinessa here, somebody who could hit these mid-air shots on Fish as he's soaring for completely
Right.
free above the rest of the team, things would have looked a lot better for Na'Vi.
Is that maybe where they were looking? Was that why you pick a hurl dredge in this case? Do you think that's going to be able to compete? I mean, if we're trying to jump inside of the Na'Vi brain there in picks and bans, if you're picking up hurl dredge, is that to compete with the Eevee in the same way that a sniper would, or is that just potentially a little bit of a...
I think
Just-
maybe the
just
maybe
pick
the
it 'cause it's
strategy
different.
behind it is that if Eevee's going to be diving you, Dredge is probably a little bit better at
Yeah.
living through the dive than a Kinessa would
Sure.
be. But I just don't think he has the ability to turn around and kill her. Whereas Kinessa, if Fish doesn't buy Haven, he's getting one shot by a single headshot. Maybe
That's
not
true.
even a headshot is going to be getting him very close to death. So I think that might have been the thought. Rather than insta-deleting her, you try and survive
Right.
through it, use the sustain. He did have 5 points in that hurl card. So if she's diving on you and you're hitting her with harpoons,
Right.
you're essentially negating her shot.
Fair.
But Fish was building Cauterize. That was less effective in the late game. He was able to dive him and really mitigate all the healing that he was trying to work with. And I think VP did a really good job. I thought their tanks were kind of lacking,
Right.
and at least in the draft, but their damages were great, and they really played it really well.
No, I agree. I mean, actually, off the bat in game number 2, it looked like Na'Vi kind of had it all figured out. It looked a little dire there for Virtus.Pro.
The 2-0
but,
open.
But it looked 2-0, and then they switch it back, flip it the other way. You had Fasheko on the Eevee was a big driving force at the end of that game. But as we look forward to map number 3, Stone Keep comes out. This will be Na'Vi's pick after
Yes.
losing game number 2.
This is a great map for them. Historically, this is one of their best maps. They've freaking slapped us on it almost every time we've played them in tournaments. So it's almost something that I usually want to ban against them when we play them. I think we actually did in
Right.
week 1. So VP leaving it up, they had to have known that this was something that Na'Vi was going to go to early on in the game, in the set.
Is there anything that Na'Vi sort of are trending to pick on a map like Stone Keep? Any strategies that you're kind of privy to that you expect to maybe come out?
I want them to pick Zen, and I want Mutu to be on it. I think this is a map where Mutu is very, very talented at diving and pressuring the backline. He's able to get through either side. If the rest of your team is fighting up in the top church area, Mutu has a free path through the backline and to the backline. And when he has that, he's always going to capitalize it. And I hope it's something that they go towards, because
He hasn't gotten it yet.
I want something aggressive. The Moji was semi-aggressive, but the Dredge, 100% not aggressive. He's too passive. I want to see something proactive
Yeah.
and aggressive from
No, I
Mutu.
agree. Yesterday we saw him play the Zin on this map, and they ended up winning it. The Sephi Cloud T-shirt there for the guys on the
R.I.P.
side of VP.
I miss Sephi. Pooley's done an amazing job,
Yes.
though.
Yeah,
I think
yes.
this guy doesn't get much credit, but I think he's done a really good job. I also think that, one of the big things for Sephi, or for Pooley in my eyes, was that it might have made Hekate's transition easier. Having, when you're coming onto a team with North Americans, Europeans and stuff, having a compatriot from Latin America, somebody you've teamed with in the past, is definitely like something that I'm sure he appreciated and helped move it in. Honestly, I think they've played really well with Pooley, and I wouldn't be mad if they kept them on full time. I don't really know what the status of that is,
Right.
but Pooley's got the thumbs
No,
up
they
for me.
look good. I mean, they have a couple tough losses, but they looked good in this game. They're hanging toe-to-toe with Na'Vi.
I'd like to see VP take Ruckus here. Navi opened up with the Inara, and we do see that Cassie ban that I mentioned earlier. So the Ruckus, his biggest counter is off the board.
Right.
And actually, the Ashe is really good on this map too. The assert dominance
Right.
can almost instantly win you a team fight in top keep, which is the most contested area on the map. So let's see if VP goes with that. Honestly, I wouldn't be mad if they took both.
Well, they're going to get the Ashe at least. She was banned out
In
last
this
game,
game,
making
you
her way through
win
here. It's
or
going to
you
be the
die.
Leon
There is
instead.
no
Going to
middle
give that
ground.
to Hekate, which
Pretty consistent pick for him.
very, very good, very strong pick on his end. So the Ashe, the Inara, the frontliners off the board so far. Leon as well, not available. Looking over to the side of Na'Vi, now they have some decisions to make as far as which route they want to go. Still need, if we're assuming a standard lineup here. They got a tank, a healer, and a couple damage dealers to go
The
on their
support
side.
pick is the one that I really want to look at in this situation. Are they going to look to take away the Genos and make life a little bit difficult for the Ashe? Because Loom boosted Ashe is a nightmare. And they do have the pip. And that's what I was talking about, using these offensive supports to kind of provide some secondary healing for the Inara, who really struggles when she doesn't have a dedicated healer.
Well, you're going to get the Genos. You're going to get the Pip, who provides some supplementary healing on his own as well. The opposite side now, though, Virtus.Pro have to tip a bit more of their hand. I mean, Na'Vi still have the Xin around if that's the route they choose to go for Mutu here. I think it would fit into that Na'Vi lineup pretty well if that's the direction they want to go.
Grover's just really safe pick on this map. The AoE healing that he has is really able to hit the full team. Even if you're down in the bottom area of that keep side, you're able to heal the people above you. You get a lot of use out of your healing. And I like what VP's doing. They're saving their last pick right here for a flex. Get Fish something that he's comfortable on, a good matchup, something that ideally he can farm this Pip, because if you kill the Pip and you make it so he can't get free evil mojos off, that's all Pip wants to do. He's just charging his ultimate and trying to win a team fight with it. So I want to see what VP goes. I'm worried that Navi's going to take the Xin, and that would have been the best option for VP.
I was going to say, I mean, the door is still wide open for the Xin that you've been looking at for Mutu, but what they've shown us in the first couple of games is that they're fine with putting Mutu onto something a little bit different. It's the Xin hover at least comes through, so that looking at the moment.
And I think Ruckus for Faye just makes so much sense here.
Yep, Ruckus it is.
I think the kitty gloves that came off if you're Na'Vi.
Wait, we lost a map. Oh no.
Yeah, let's take it a little bit more serious. If they were willing to give up a map, it was only one. So I expect to see very serious comps and very serious play from them from the rest. And I love their draft. I think this draft is insane. You have big damage for both your tanks when they have that Genos boost, the Pip ult to win team fights essentially on his own, and Mutu on the Zen to pressure the backline. I love it.
I absolutely agree. What do you maybe look for on the side of Virtus.Pro, though? They have the Leon, so they have Hekate's pick.
I don't think it's going to be Eevee, but I'm proven wrong. I thought a Drogue might be nice. He's able to kind of float up over the Zen and the Pip, but the Eevee's going to do a really good job of pressuring out the backline supports, which is what I wanted from Fish, so I don't hate the pick.
Is that the sort of the win condition in your eyes on the side of Virtus.Pro, pressuring out that backline?
If VP isn't killing the Pip and the Genos, they're going to lose this game, so it's all on Fish getting in the backline, or maybe Hekate hitting some imminence from long range and maybe opening up the space for him. That's what I need VP to do to win.
Well, they're going to look to do that on Stone Keep. Na'Vi pulling out their map pick here, traditionally strong map.
I will say, I think that if VP can win the first point, that's going to be very telling for me, because VP's comp only improves after the first mid. When Ashe is very weak in the first mid when she doesn't have her ultimate, she gets better later on. So if they're able to get a big win early, that's a telling sign that this game might go their way.
Well, and that's exactly what they're going to look to do. Tied up here. No 4-0s for us to start off the day. Game 3 it is. Virtus.Pro looking to make it 2, but so is Na'Vi on the opposite side. Stone Keep is where we're headed. Let's send it down to the casters.
Telltale sign of a competitive set is a split through the first 2 games. We've got ourselves the making of something great here. As we head into Stone Keep, it appears as though the experimental goggles, the lab coats have come off for Na'Vi as they return to a little bit more of a standard form here in game number 3.
I like their way of experimenting. Keep going until it blows up in your face, and then when that finally happens, decide to turn back to what you know is going to work.
Just play Mad Scientist Pip, and then you can really still get that, I think, vibe.
Get the same feel that you need coming through, being able to kind of change up the game. Pip changes up the game regularly with the way things have been going. I expect some crazy evil mojos. Mainly just because of the fact that, I mean, he charges them so often, you're bound to get one.
And really, so many great skins for Pip, and creatives just goes for the base.
The base.
I'm pissed.
Base.
I almost don't want to even talk about this man right now. Skinergy is incredibly important to me. Everybody knows that. I like to judge people on their outfits as well as their play, because I think both really help define you as a player. Kate finds the first one. Probably just because they're playing base Pip right now. I mean, how could you ever hope to get first blood if you're not using a skin?
I mean, and you also end up in probably the most unfortunate scenario of all. The one person I think you don't want to lose first is going to be a tie between probably your Genos and your Inara. And you lose Inara first, then you immediately lose your Ruckus. But Fasheka's going to be able to come out on top of that one. Mutu goes down. Now he's getting aggressive. He's going to be able to come through if that shot had connected. and it doesn't matter. He hits the next one. It's still 2 kills.
I mean, he's just a nut job, dude. He's just a nut on this character, and it doesn't matter, I feel like, the map at this point. There's a way, I guess, you could play Eevee on most maps, and he's figuring out how to get it done here on Stone Keep. My goodness gracious, I mean, there's really just not enough good things you can say about Eevee when played properly. And Eevee when played by the best in the world, I mean, we're in for a treat here for sure. He's in a rhythm too. He's looking good. He's feeling good. He's taking confident 1v1s with Mutu Zin. I mean, my goodness.
I mean, this is that area where once you are, like, that switch has been turned on, right, for Prosecco. That first game, that Drogo's game, is not the cleanest. I can't even remember what his slash line was. I think it was positive, but barely so, 14 and 10 or something like that. Whereas this time around, he's coming in and he's hitting these plays that are making the big difference. The quadra kills that we saw last game, the double kills we'll see this game, and just the presence that he has had in the map. Fortunately, right there, locked in the corner. Kratos is going to clean him up. But this is kind of the story every time Virtus.Pro gets the point. Except this time around, they didn't need the comeback mechanic to grab it.
That's a good sign for them. The Spice has maybe caught them off guard in the first rounds, and then what it takes to be a truly great team is to be adaptable on the fly, sometimes even mid-game, and we've seen Virtus.Pro do that here in these very spicy first 2 drafts from Na'Vi, and they've figured it out against a very more basic draft from Na'Vi here in the first round as they continue to roll here, and it's just all Eevee all the time. Pressure from the back, pressure in the front. It's the magic word of this season in the PPL, and VP have got it.
I mean, just dancing around. 0-3-1. The Des was calling for Mutu to play the Zin, but I don't know if Na'Vi want that anymore. Not the performance you want out of him. 1-4-0 there for Phoenix as well. So not clean performances. You have Pule finally getting taken down. He's trying to get aggressive. Did do so successfully. Now you lose one of your front lines. It's going to be up to Fish and the rest of the crew to kind of make up for that loss of a man.
I like this little angle being played by Pacheco right now. Agate just continuing to find more and more damage in the backline. Vex throwing his name into the kill feed as well. Agate is not missing, and he throws his hands up like, hello? Is anybody home? Does anybody want to put up a fight here from Na'Vi? A lot of kills from the backline from Virtus.Pro. A lot of aggression from the front line to keep the momentum going. I like everything that they're serving up right now.
And honestly, when you have someone... I actually said yesterday I wouldn't mind seeing maybe Hecate kind of gravitate away from Leon, because he's been playing it a lot. But when he has those moments on Leon...
Those shots.
It makes you remember why he plays Leon a lot. Why he used to be kind of the sniper main. And it is the lockdown. The 5-1 and 7 is great, but it's just the fact that even outside of those kills he's been a part of, where are you going to poke your head? Where he's not going to hit you. You have to play around this point so carefully. And if you're hiding from him, you're not paying enough attention to Fish. So no matter what, you're in the wrong area.
Did Creatives get a single ult? Are Creatives and Mutu just trying to charge the... Oh, caught them toes, boy! Give them toes! Spunky hits a beautiful one to kick off and probably kill the most important member of this VP team fight. And now they're just falling to pieces. Sometimes the laser beam can just get it done before it even starts.
And with naturally the best Genos skin. He had the squid on the head. He was ready for it. Evil Mojo still charged up. Comeback mechanic enabled for Na'Vi. They're capturing this incredibly fast. You still have an Ice Storm. You still have an Enlightenment. You still have some damage that you're going to have to worry about. But it doesn't matter if you just get rid of the front lines.
And now they can just keep this going. Spite in the back line as well. Puts a couple people in a rough spot. Pule eventually gets followed up on and dies for it. Lazy gets dose-ups again. Comeback mechanic. I barely had enough time to say it until the payload was captured. Na'Vi string an ultimate after an ultimate after an ultimate. They get a pick from each one. And Gore, it's just that simple.
You come in, you clean up. You can't always rely on the laser, but sometimes it does the job.
He tried to jump it. He saw it and thought he could just jump it. That's why it's almost, I don't know, is it more about Spunky hits a great laser? That's a common laser spot.
Yeah.
But it's like, Fish saw it and said, I can jump this. I got the ups.
I'm wondering if he was closer to the wall, like maybe that boost that you get from jumping near a wall is enough.
I think he did get the wall boost, and it just wasn't enough.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't think he's dumb enough to try and jump that without the wall boost.
The wall boost. Otherwise, you just end up kind of doing a little bunny hop inside of this giant circle that is the through space and time, or through time and space. And with the way things are going, he
That's
could...
a tough one for us Smite and Paladins players, huh?
Which one's which? I never remember. I just say whichever one comes to mind first.
You know, I think Meta's made that mistake, too, because he's a big Smite player as well. And for those of you that don't know, spend the day playing a little bit of Smite, see if you can figure out what we're talking about.
One other really large cross-map laser. Can you imagine? I said this a long time ago, and this is going to be really, really poor for anyone who doesn't play Smite. Can you imagine if Genos also put portals in the walls that he shot through?
That would be nuts. That would be a fun mechanic.
That
in
repositioning
in a 3D space, dude.
Yeah.
Forget about it.
That repositioning in a map would
pick.
be crazy.
He would be first pick all the time, and he's close to it already without it. More kills for VP as they continue to hold the defense, and this is just one of those days, man. This is one of those days where Fisheko and Akate are performing. There's damage coming out from this Grover that is mattering. The pressure from Pule Ule and from Dosips has been fearless, and that's almost what it takes. Pule probably doesn't give a damn that he's 2-6 right now. He's doing what he needs to do just to make sure that he's turning heads, keeping people looking at him. If he's dying, that means they're not shooting at Fisheko, who's swimming around in the back line, trying to get more and more of these kills for his squad.
And he does get locked down right there, but admittedly, again, the way things are going, it's exactly the way you would want it to. Unfortunately, Kate gets pretty aggressive there, and I feel like everybody on Virtus.Pro is a little aggressive there. They end up getting taken down. Overtime's definitely going to happen here for Na'Vi now. And with the way they staggered out that kill, that's going to give them plenty of room to play with. But they do have to continue touching. They have to dance around it. I think just trying to buy time for the Sonara to get in.
And Mutu trying to read that blink spot. Sheko picks up 2 before blinking back, though. Almost 3. Akate throws his hat in the ring. BP will grab another defense and go up 3-1 as they are now poised to take the lead in this set. So returning to a more standard composition has proved less fruitful for Na'Vi than maybe everybody in the audience thought. As, to be honest, it almost feels as though VP with this Eevee on Stonekeep, which is not a common occurrence, is the more experimental one in this particular game, if I may say so. And now he's taking top. I mean, is it... I don't believe that Eevee can't work on almost any map. I think the character's great. And is it just he's the best in the world at it, and that's why he's going to top damage over Hecate, who's playing his best hit scan champion in the world?
Yeah. That's honestly, like, Eevee is something that you can see on Stonekeep and something you can see work on Stonekeep.
Not again.
But it's not the best thing in the world. This is going to be just Fisheko looking really good. You lose Vex, which means you lose your healing, which means you lose Hecate, which means you might be losing just about everyone here. Fish is going to walk through, but behind you.
And for those of you that don't know, you get locked out when you emote. They want to get that third-person perspective, but they're taking the risk of being locked out for about a second or so. As much time as you saw Mutu just staring at Fisheko, that's how much time you are locked out for. But VP, they got to stop getting hit by these lasers. To put it simply, I mean, that's not good football.
2 in a row where it's going to kill. And in the same spot, too, I believe. If not, maybe he shot differently that time, but even still, it's going to connect on you in spots that are pretty easy to predict overall. Unfortunately for Virtus.Pro, it's looking like that means this is going to be another Na'Vi point comeback mechanic enabled once again since they're down 3-1. Lazy's just going to stand on it. There's going to be a wall. Yeah, you have Grobot coming in, but he can only do so much.
That's a really good wall. Pule Ule does get a good ultimate off, kills 2 people with it. But was it worth being walled off in the keep for that amount of time? Lazy all on his own now, under pressure from the Ice Staff, and the Flat Cannon doesn't get the touch. So somebody from Na'Vi needs to get in here, or that overtime's not going to start. 99%, so that means VP, despite all that, need to stay on the objective forever now. If they get off of it, it's going to go the way of Na'Vi, and they'll keep themselves in the game. Another kill comes through for Fisheko. Mutu's fighting tooth and nail, but he falls as well. Gore, this could be it.
I mean, with these kills coming out the way they are, you can see Lazy right there.
Dominance.
But it's not enough. This is a completely different performance than I expected out of Virtus.Pro today, and I am loving it.
Wow. Great stuff all around. Fish is popping off. Hecate is phenomenal on the Leon as well. Everybody else gets what they want here. And head in the hands. Na'Vi are now thinking, guys, this was supposed to be, we kick it back into gear here and we get back to normal in this set. We start beating these guys, right? This is a team that we can beat. Mutu got a Zin, didn't work. We weren't sure about Fishy's Eevee. That did work. Let's get it back to the desk to hear Dave and Justin's thoughts.
Well, Virtus.Pro for the first time today find themselves up in this set. Game 3 in the books. Looking forward to game number 4. Now, Meta, I think we were looking back, or we were looking at the Navi draft, and we were saying, all right, well, this looks really good. Top to bottom, they have more of a normal-looking draft. You don't have a Hurl Dredge. You don't have the random, the Moji pick. But Virtus.Pro just looked so good. I mean, in your eyes, is that just a case of Fisheko and Hecate playing out of their mind, and that's really all they needed?
Yeah, I think they're both playing really well. I thought Navi had a really good draft, but the execution just wasn't there.
Yeah.
And honestly, there was a couple of ego moments and picks from VP during this game. Ash not having resilience against the Evil Mojo, which gave me doubts, but they were able to lock it down, close it out, and get the win. And I think this is a huge win for them, able to take Navi off of their map when they're playing basic stuff. VP's got to be feeling amazing right now, and Navi is, doubting.
Right.
There's doubt in their minds right now.
I mean, we talked about how Stone Keep was Navi's pick. I mean, that's a map they feel very strong on, a map that they won on yesterday, and now you go to it in Virtus.Pro. I mean, that was, not really all that close. I mean, that was a pretty handy win there from Virtus.Pro.
Fish was just having his way with the backline. The Genos boosted Eevee is just an absolute menace. Like she's got her own self-sustain, blinking back and forth, getting the heals, and then the passive ticking over time with the damage boost. It's an absolute monster. And moving forward in the set, I think Navi's in a position now that you need to start taking things away from VP.
Sure.
Don't give this team Leon and Eevee again, because it's a comfort pick for both their damages. And if you keep giving them this comfort, they're going to keep killing you and keep winning.
Do you address that probably more in your own picks rather than banning out a Leon or an Eevee, right?
Yeah, we don't really see the Leon or Eevee bans really that much in edge cases, but I think this seems fine with playing them. I just want to see them prioritize it earlier, because they're prioritizing stuff that VP hasn't really shown. Like the Pip is a good pick, and it's really good to pick early, but if I have Fisheko on Pip, I'm happy with that. He's not being able to play passive, and he's not going to be, killing your support over and over and over if he's on the Pip.
No, it's a different style of play from champion to champion. I mean, looking back at our drafts, they've had Leon or Eevee or both in every single one of the games today. Game 1 was Leon, Game 2 was the Eevee, and then here in Game 3 we had both. Looking forward to map 4. We'll have to see which direction they choose to go. I mean, if you're on the side of Navi now, we'll see which they pick in a minute, but which direction maybe do you choose to go? It's going to be Bright Marsh. So are you fine with the Bright Marsh pick?
Yeah, honestly, Bright Marsh is something they prioritize a lot as well. They picked it first in a couple of their sets that they've played already, and I was interested in the fact that they chose Jag over that for their opening map pick. Bright's a really good map for them. They can play both aggressive and sustain, and really what Navi does really well in this map is they snowball. If they cap the point, they're so good at playing around and staggering your deaths and getting the point pushed in. To be fair, they pushed it in on Frog Isle as well, and it didn't really earn them any wins in that game.
Didn't come up in their favor in this case. And Stone Keep as well. I mean, that's another one of their strong maps. I mean, Virtus.Pro is just playing very, very well today. Game 1 came out, and it was pretty close. It was kind of contested. We figured maybe the Moji was a little bit too cheesy, didn't work out in their favor. But Virtus.Pro, since that Game 1, has now won 2 maps straight, looking to make it a third on Bright Marsh. It's going to be Navi's pick, though. The Cassie is going to be off the board, as well as the Makoa. Nothing too out of the ordinary there, making sure that creatives... Well, there's the Leon ban. We kind of touched on it. I mean, that's one way of addressing it, is just taking it out of the game completely.
And I think this changes the whole landscape. What is Hecate going to play? Traditionally, he's going to fall back to a Shaolin, which is something much... it's a debatable whether Shaw's easier to dive than Leon. I think he is, just because he doesn't have that ultimate to just completely save himself if he needs it. But the Ruckus ban is interesting. Now we see Torvald and Khan left up. Navi's going to take the Torv. I think this is a really big pick for them. We haven't seen much Torv this land season, because he's so strong.
92% ban rate, 6% pick rate. Genos, though, still up. So Virtus.Pro are going to go that direction with
the 4th Genos in 4 games for Vex. It's a big part of their strategy, and I think the Khan right here as well makes a ton of sense. I mean, he's really good, just throwing people off the map. If he's able to grab a pocket and hold them, they're going to die. The shield's probably not going to stop it, and if you can get the Torv and throw them off as well, it's a really good look.
I mean, it's always interesting seeing a Torvald come through. I mean, I guess there are some similarities in the sense that you throw a bubble, you get a little damage amp. On the Geno side, you throw some healing, you get a little damage amp as well. So matching it with something like the Bomb King, I think, is pretty good in this sense. I think Fish could make good use of that if that's where it ends up going on their side. Or excuse me, Creatives would make good use of that if that's where it ends up going for them.
Yeah,
that's a strong duo there.
Very, very good pocket. It depending on if he runs Royal Subjects or Chain Reaction. Chain Reaction Bomb King does, oh my god, just so much freaking damage with a Field Study pocket.
Right.
Like if he's able to get multiple sticks off on a squishy, insta dead. If he gets 3 or 4 off on a tank, they're almost insta dead. Like it's a straight up hard carry from Creatives with this pick, and I assume it is going to be Creatives. Historically, he plays the BK in almost every situation.
That would make sense, right?
For Na'Vi.
Well, we say that would make sense, but we've been thrown through a loop a couple times here today by them, so don't know which way they'll go. The Zen is getting hovered now for Virtus.Pro. I think that would be a pretty strong pick here as well as the Fernando.
Another big pick for them. They really love this Fernando, which is interesting that they're picking it here because of how much tanks are left up. Ashe is still up. Ruckus is banned.
That's true, yeah.
But you're picking the Ashe over the Fernando over the Ashe is interesting. Maybe they're looking to put him around point and use that formidable self-sustain to kind of counteract the lack of healing that he's going to have from the Genos. But the Zen, big pick for Fish. He was an absolute monster when we played them on this character. It's everything he wants to do. The same thing as Eevee. Ooh, Maeve.
Well, there's a little Maeve. So Na'Vi not done with some of the theatrics as of yet. Do you like the Maeve here on Brightmarsh?
I do.
Do you like Maeve in general?
I do. I think Maeve is in a really underestimated position right now, and teams are really just starting to experiment and fit her into the meta. I think she's really good against Zen because she has the ability to use her mobility, multiple dashes, resetting her cooldowns and stuff to chase his Zen down. If he gets too aggressive and uses his Billow and can't fall back to the safety of his team, Maeve is able to use her mobility, get in the backline, and punish him. VP though, what do they go here? Shaolin. So that's what I expected them to fall back on for Hecate. It's a good pick for them. It's also a very, very good wrecker. If he has wrecker 2, he's going to be one-shotting that Field Study Torvald shield. And so I really expect that's to be Hecate's job on the Shaolin this game, anti-flank.
And something I've seen that's kind of interesting is the way the Maeve gets played. Sometimes Cat Burglar, sometimes the Execute. But we'll have to see how it plays out in Brightmarsh. Let's send it down to Nick and Gore.
Thank you, gentlemen, and this is sure to be an interesting one. I like the way that these picks have come out, and they're not spicy in the traditional sense of the word, but more so in that it is just like a Torvald makes it through. Finally, this character's like 95% ban rate or something like that. And now, how are Na'Vi going to look to use him? And if they fail with Torvald, then do they start to tailspin in this sense? Hey, what can we win with?
Button. That's when things get really scary because Torvald, especially what you just heard Meta Pusher saying, when you put him with a Bomb King, say even a Chain Reaction Bomb King, like the damage that you can do to a single target becomes, I want to say, astronomical. Like it's just so ridiculously large. And then Maeve, I'm assuming we're actually going to end up seeing maybe more Cat Burglar. Like go into, I'm going to hit that 30% extra damage with a Torvald bubble. Now I'm going to make that a little more of a chunk, instead of just 400, I guess 800 total, instead of hitting 1,000 total, or I think it's 1140 or something like that for the entire damage. Maybe they'll come through, but right now it is Street Justice. So maybe the Execute to come and try and deal with dose-ups and Pule.
Why might he be going for that Execute against this Virtus.Pro composition?
Well, there's 2 things that are really good. One, it's a get rid of frontline free card. Also, they both have shields. Pounce goes through shields, so they can't save themselves if they get low health. Those shields mean nothing to Mutu.
Well, we might be able to get to see that mechanic in play here sooner than we thought. Pule on the back foot. He's going to get low HP. Mutu, a little bit of a misplay there. Just a small one there. Miscalculation, I think, is a better word. He thought that last set of daggers would have taken him below the 35%, but he just hits the 9 lives and pounces him again, and that does the trick.
That was a full team wipe.
That was a full team wipe.
That didn't even register. I saw 2 kills, and I'm like, okay, cool. All 5 of them died. Every member of Virtus.Pro just dropped like flies there. Fries, I guess, if you're hungry, depending. That's going to be me tonight. So either way, you're going to be golden for them. And now it's 69, 72% here for Na'Vi as they keep themselves in control. And I feel like the front lines now are going to have to kind of pick a fight that they haven't had to fight before.
Luminary Shaolin here hitting for big numbers. Yikes. Deleted Fisheko. Feels the heat from the Fangs here. Mutu's Maeve has looked very, very good so far. And it has operated very, very independently. Creative has been the sole recipient of these Torvald pockets so far. One of my favorite combinations is the Luminary Bomb King. Imagine taking that damage and doubling it.
And doubling it. And
now
they
how do
just
you feel?
Deal so much in an area that admittedly, if you play this poorly, let's say from Fish Echo, you don't kill off creatives first there, you're dead now.
Look at
Mutu,
the tanks, bro!
Is going to be able to come through. Now the shield comes through for him. And of course, he gets the double execute whenever he needs it. And that's just the way this fight goes. If you're wondering why Torvald's banned every single game, you're looking at it. It's just, it skews things so heavily to one side that even if you go record 3, it becomes just so deadly.
So we got to see Mutu trade 2 for 1 there, but he does his job flawlessly, which is just execute both of these frontliners. You'll notice a little visual feedback. When the target is low enough, you'll see a red skull appear on. We'll probably get to see it here as Khan's falling lower and lower. You can see it actually as Xin is billowing, if he's low enough, which he almost always will be. You can kind of see it right now. That skull right there on Fernando. He doesn't have a pounce to actually follow up and get the execute, but that's what Street Justice looks like on your screen. And all that's telling you is this target is below 35% HP and will die instantly if you touch them with a pounce.
No, I normally don't think there are certain champions that are they get this, therefore you lose. There's some that can definitely skew things in one side's favor. Torvald
That's what makes the game great.
Makes it so incredibly difficult to win. It takes a long time, and that's the thing. Torvald, in my eyes, is not a guaranteed win. It's only a guaranteed win if you can get that first point and the second point fight, right? If you can convert this push, you can keep yourself just so far ahead of Virtus.Pro that they never get to buy more Wrecker. They never get to the point where they can pop those bubbles incredibly fast. But this game takes a little bit longer. Virtus.Pro capture this next point using the fast cap. Then all of a sudden, it's kind of an equal playing field. And Torvald, as the game goes on in my mind, starts to play less of a role.
It? Okay, I think this is the double tank execute. So he gets the one there. That's beautiful. He doesn't need a Wrecker. That's it. That is why they drafted this pick, I feel like. These double shielding tanks, you mentioned, it goes straight through Dosups, 0-5, Puleule, 0-5. They do not know what to do against the Street Justice Mave. It's not common, so the fact that Virtus.Pro basically played straight into it, and you're right. I mean, Akate goes for the record too, so he will be able to pop those bubbles if he can stay alive that long, man. It doesn't take away from the fact that if he doesn't have an arrow primed and ready to go, he will die to one field study bomb, and a follow-up base 900 damage bomb will kill him.
Creative's been taken out early on.
Out of cooldowns. He's probably dead here.
This is where Mutu needs to be able to shine. That is probably the saving grace for Virtus.Pro. And it's honestly, it is Hecate when it comes down to it. It is the fact that he has the record too, and that Shaolin arrows full charge, 1,000 damage. You're being able to apply a lot of that more to shields and pop those bubbles a little faster. You can get rid of creatives early on. He doesn't get any kills. You get rid of Mutu right afterward, and all of a sudden this Torvald doesn't have anybody to really make feel big.
Look at that big laser beam from Vex, picks up creatives. Visheko takes down Spunky during the midnight. Everyone died at 11:59 on Na'Vi. Nobody was around to capitalize on midnight, the darkest of timelines here for Na'Vi. Here comes the Hyper Beam to try and shake things up on the objective. Visheko doesn't know where he's getting hit from, but all he knows is he needs to billow out.
Well, King Bomb rolling into the point, trying to do whatever he can. Does go up, gets rid of Hecate, puts himself in a good position. The front line's dancing on the side. They're going to cede the point at 97% here for Virtus.Pro, but the kills are coming up red.
I like that spite. I think that was good. Just to get up in the air, stay alive just a little bit longer. That's all they care about right now. Spite at base without guillotine is a pretty weak ultimate, especially in those chaotic team fight situations. You really only can use it in isolation Paladins, as we will call it here now. But Virtus.Pro bounced back in a big way, and I actually feel a lot of that is Hecate to think. I think he got a lot of critical kills there with this Shaolin. Meta just mentioned all he said was record 2. Once he gets record 2 online, if they can stay alive that long, they'll be in a much better spot. And so far, so good. Hecate has been very good today.
And that opens up two conversations. One is really taking the building fight that they did for Virtus.Pro, being able to come in, and immediately they pop the overpower onto creatives. They don't care about the Torvald. They're not looking for him just yet. They need to get rid of the Bomb King first because, admittedly, Torvald is only as good as the things he can bubble. You get rid of the Bomb King in that first fight. Hecate, I'm not sure was credited for the kill. I think that did go to the Khan, but either way, you just get rid of him. Then you press that issue. You get rid of Mutu. You keep going forward. Then you kill off Torvald. It opened up a lot of doors just on the building side of the map so they could move into the point, kind of lay waste and make themselves a home in there. And there's also something to be said about kind of the economy, right? Hecate goes for Wrecker 1 at the beginning of the game, gets 600 credits to be able to buy the Wrecker 2. Now they've got a point which gives them all 300 more credits. So they're going to be able to come into this. Now Hecate has Wrecker 3. He's going to be popping the bubble, not necessarily instantly, but 1.5 arrows maybe. Maybe even 1 arrow if he's good enough. Either way, with 5 Wreckers on the team, all he needs is one other person to tap it just a little bit, and they no longer have to really worry about this Torvald as much.
Field study Inara coming at you, boys. It's Gore's dream, right? This is every Inara player's dream. This is my time to shine. Here we go, boys. This is Bog. And now Lazy is going to be able to get into the back line, mix it up, throws up a wall, blocks off both front lines as Mutu assassinates the support for Virtus.Pro, who are just trying to hang in there so far. They've done a pretty good job of it. They are on the offense right now. Remember, Na'Vi pushed for the 2-0 start. Virtus.Pro capture this payload to grab 1 on the board, but if defended, Na'Vi will throw up another point on the board and go up 3-1 and have the chance to even the set.
I'm looking. Vex, Puleule getting some kills right there. That's going to make a big difference. Can Hecate get where he wants? There's the field study bubble once again onto Lazy. And you could see the effects of a Wrecker 3. Pop, pop, it's gone. Now you just have to be able to carry that up. You get rid of Torvald, you get rid of Spunky. Now the payload can keep going. Those are the plays right now that are kind of impressing me the most out of Virtus.Pro. It's these, you have 15 seconds left, good luck. And they not only get there, they win a fight, and they keep the overtime.
Well, now they're in a spot where the conversation has to start once again. Do we pop ultimates for this defense? What's going on here? Who's going to commit first and how much? The bubble comes out onto Bomb King. Big stun there. That might be the end of Puleule's life, but he doesn't take almost any damage for it somehow, some way. Lazy assassinates Hecate in a small little enclosed room. It's like fighting Mike Tyson in a phone booth. It's just something you don't do. Another assassination comes out from Street Justice. No cooldowns to grab this last one. There it is. 9 lives comes up. And so does Pounce and Prowl to follow it. Nice stuff from Mutu down the stretch, and without an ultimate spent, Na'Vi will hold their defense, get their 3rd point, and be on game point.
It's so difficult to deal with Maeve at this point just because of moments like that where it's just, if Mutu and crew are able to get you low enough for him to just pounce, reset, pounce, that's 2 front lines dead. You lose all of the pressure that you could have had. And if you have creatives maybe getting just as aggressive or more aggressive,
a snake
depending
in my
on
boot.
how it is, they get to jump forward a little harder. I mean, he's 10-7 right now, but you can see the 88,000 damage, 22,000 ahead of anyone else. Obviously, part of that is going to be
a little bit to be expected.
This, bubble that keeps getting thrown onto him, but I think a lot of it is just how good he's playing.
Yeah, a little bit to be expected there. I think, when you do get that pocket the whole game, I almost expect a little bit more out of it, to be honest.
That needs to be 33,000 minimum.
I think, it's a good lead for sure. It's comfortable.
Yeah.
But as those Wreckers come online, not just for Hecate like last round, but you remember you mentioned everyone bought it on Virtus.Pro.
Yes.
Everyone is going.
A hot 5-man Wrecker. I don't actually know if I've seen that before, if I'm honest.
Yeah, it's pretty rare that you see a team completely go into something all one item. Cauterize, you're likely to see 4 of them, but usually at least one person needs Wrecker, but you really, really can recognize the win condition here, what Na'Vi are going to be leaning on. And everybody at the Wrecker 2 mark for the most part. Vex at 2, Hecate at 3, Pule at 3, Fishy at 1, Doe at 1. They don't scale super great, and they might not be worried too much about, tangoing with Torvald and Bomb King. Fish could be looking to take down Mutu. He could be just having other targets in his sights.
I think any other support for Vex, and he wouldn't be able to get the Wrecker. I think it's only because it's Genos and he can be kind of aggressive with it that he's able to branch into that. Because most of the time, you want that morale boost for your second item. You want the Chronos to make sure your heals come up as often as you can. He's got the Chronos. He knows he's going to be able to get the healing. He doesn't need his ult that often, considering it's going to be hit or miss. So going into the Wrecker, especially since he's hit scanned, means that there's a lot more pressure for the team.
Well, Seismic Crash will be met with an Immortal. Nothing really gained or lost there. 1 for 1 on the backside. Looking like the Hyper Beam might get this kill on a Fernando, and it does. Beautifully played, nicely angled by Phoenix to grab the kill onto Fernando. Pacheco just barely staying alive. Lazy is going to walk this one down mid as hard as he can. Na'Vi capturing far and away in the lead with this one.
Doing whatever they can. King Bomb's still available. I'd actually love to see Creatives pop that a little early right here to block them from getting to the objective at all. Win yourself the fight before you have to. That is going to be Zen walking through. Pacheco will at least get a touch, but it's not going to be for long.
I mean, barely. This one looks like it's going to be all Na'Vi here, guys. 4-1. Reads the final scoreline, tying it up at 2 games apiece. We've got ourselves a set. This one is not as easy as I think everybody voted for Na'Vi. I will say I'm the only one who voted for VP today, so I'm rooting for them boys in black and orange here. But this one has been more contested than even I think I was ready to give it credit for.
And I mean, that map, admittedly to me, was closer than I think it would normally be. And there was a Torvald on
Na'Vi
that side.
set a record
that was
yesterday,
definitely
man.
Not something that would come through easy.
Na'Vi set a record on Bright Marsh yesterday. That was like, this had to be 6 minutes flat, probably 5 minutes, if not 4 and change of actual gameplay in the rounds there. That was a pretty convincing one as well with Torvald. Let's get it back to the desk and get their thoughts.
Well, halfway through the set, we're still tied up 2-2. Neither team on the front foot just as of yet. It's been pretty contended, though. It's been back and forth the entire time, and they said it pretty well in the booth there. I don't know if any of us coming into it would have expected how kind of back and forth it would have been. Honestly, looked at one point like Virtus.Pro is going to run away with it, but that was a really big Na'Vi win on the opposite side.
Yeah, really good switch up from them there in the draft, forcing VP to kind of decide between the Torvald and the Khan, and they just decided to ban the Ruckus. And I think Na'Vi definitely got the better trade from that. They looked really comfortable on the Torvald. Creatives was a great pocket, and even when you throw that pocket on Mutu, he's able to get people down to that threshold and get those executes.
And I know one thing you were kind of looking at is they had Wrecker on essentially all 5 members, or literally on all 5 members, and then Resilience as well on the side of Virtus.Pro. Didn't work out in their favor this time, but I know you were a fan of all those Resilience picks.
Yeah, I just thought they got them a little bit too late. We saw all 5 players had at least Resilience 1, but only one had Resilience 2. And when you're looking at this composition from Na'Vi, all 5 champions are diminished by Resilience. You have crowd control on every single character. Even Maeve with her ultimate, the duration is reduced when you buy Resilience. So I think that's something that they could have looked to invest in earlier. Resilience is a very cheap item compared to other things, and I think it would have gave them a much better advantage in the ability to weather these storms. We saw at the end Creatives with that Bomb King ultimate stopping Puliuli from completely touching, followed by a Torvald silence. All those things are going to be lower durations if you have Resil.
Well, they had it, but maybe just a little bit too little too late. Checking his notebook there is Phoenix. Big game for him on the Torvald. So Na'Vi able to go to Bright Marsh, their map pick. They're able to take it again. Now we're down to we're essentially down to a best of 3 now. Whichever team is going to be able to win 2 out of the next 3 are going to be the ones who take it. So if you're looking at the opposite side now, you're Virtus.Pro. I don't remember the map picks and or the map bans off the top of my head, but if you're Virtus.Pro, what's a map you maybe consider going to here?
I think I'm probably looking at Ice Mines. It's a map they've looked really good on, and also I don't know how interesting Na'Vi strats are going to be. We saw the Dredge come out on Ice Mines yesterday, but does the doubt from earlier in this set still sit in the back of their heads? Are they going to want to play more standard when actually going towards these cheesy picks that they're really comfortable on might be a better look for them? So I like the potential for Ice Mines. I'm not sure what they'll go for, though.
Well, that's what we'll have to look forward to. We have Game 5, but first we have a quick break, so stick around.
The Paladins Premier League, brought to you by Skillshot.
Welcome back from that very quick break. Lots of fun and exciting things to look forward to in Paladins this upcoming season. Obviously, the High Res Expo, one of the main things to look forward to. And lots of really good-looking content updates coming out as well. I know that one of the things we talked about yesterday, we'll talk about again today, is the Street Style event that's come out. Lots of really good-looking skins in that. The Ash skin, the Sky skin, the Mave skin, and the Ying skin, all in that Street Style pack. If you were to pick one of those four, which would you pick?
I'm going for Ash, dude. I
Ash
love that dabbing chicken on her flag.
That's true.
That's just a great touch.
He gives it to Ash. Sky and Mave, though, they're coming into the meta. Might be the time for you to go pick up one of the Street Style skins for them, and then Master the Champion as well. Looking forward to game number 5, though. We're on the back from this quick break. Tied up 2-2 here. Really leaning pretty heavily both ways at any point in this. If you had one of those win probability graphs, it would have been going up and down the entire time. Na'Vi come out looking really good. Virtus.Pro then answer back with a couple big wins of their own. But Na'Vi, just before the break, take the final win for game number 4 here, though. So like I said, down to a best of 3 to round out set number 1 here for the day.
It's definitely a slugfest.
It's a slugfest. They're back and forth. They're
really hard
heavily
to tell
back and forth.
where it's going. And, I mean, if I'm a Na'Vi fan, I'm sitting here looking at those first 2 games.
Yeah.
And they got the win on Jaguar, but on Frog, maybe that's something that you regret in the back of your head. Like, that's a map that you could win potentially if you pick something standard. So I wonder if there's any regret from there. Obviously, if your players are not focused on that, you're just focused on these next 3 games and what you can do to bring the set home. And
I know you kind of mentioned Ice Mines, but obviously without reading their minds, we don't really know, but sort of in your head on the side of Virtus.Pro, now the map picks back to you. I know you mentioned Ice Mines, but what type of map is Ice Mines? Why would you choose to go to a map like Ice Mines after a loss on Bright Marsh?
So I think Ice Mine's actually very similar to Bright Marsh, so now that I'm thinking about it, maybe that's not the choice. When you're looking at map bans, what Na'Vi banned was Fish Market and Timber Mill, which both play very different from Ice Mines. And so if you're looking at their bans and you're thinking, these are what they banned, maybe we should take them to a similar map. Maybe a Frozen Guard would be an option. It's a very large open map, something where Hecate can really use his long-range damage and really get a lot of stuff. The flank routes on Frozen are a little bit more iffy, though, so that's honestly, that's why I think Ice Mines would be a good pick for them, is because Fish has easy access to the back line. There's unless there's a tank blocking him, he's going to be able to dive through. It's a really good map. I've liked all their play on it. I think one of those two. One of the ice maps.
One of the cold maps potentially coming out here for Virtus.Pro. And another thing, we've touched on it today, and another thing you have to look at is actually last map on Bright Marsh was the first game where a Leon, an Eevee, or a combination of the two wasn't up for the side of Virtus.Pro. They had the Xin and the Shaolin up on their side. They looked okay on it, but I mean, at the end of the day, the Eevee and the Leon are really the 2 comfort picks for those guys. I'm assuming you like the Na'Vi strategy. You can't really ban out Leon every single game, I don't think, but maybe in the right conditions, do you maybe expect more Leon bans coming out for them?
Potentially. I don't think they're going to be banning Leon or Eevee as second pick. As second pick, you're kind of forced to ban a little bit more of the OP tanks, the Khans, the Koas and stuff, or a Koa Torvald. It's really easy to force the second pick team into doing that, but 100% I think that's a strat they're going to go back to potentially after this map if they lose and they have their choice again and are able to take first pick.
So actually, and then looking at Na'Vi side of things, they have the Mave as well. There's only really been one sort of pick phase out of Na'Vi today where there hasn't been something kind of weird or spicy coming out. We're going to head to Ascension Peak, though. So what do you look at on a map like Ascension Peak?
I think this is kind of right in line with the Fish Market and the Timber Mill. They're going for a map that seems similar to what Na'Vi banned. Ascension's a very wide open map. There's flank routes on both sides. I think it's a really good pick here, and it's also very point heavy. So that kind of aspect of it could go in favor of either team. Navi's an amazing team at playing around the point, and Ascension is really catered to that. You have that square point with the statues sitting in the middle of it, which provide a lot of cover for your point tank.
Well, Ruckus is going to make his way into the ban column yet again, potentially leaving open a Torvald if he's not going to get taken away. It's still 2 more bans to go, so definitely within the realm of possibility that he gets taken away. But
and I'm fine with the Ruckus ban, even if there's no depth to the strategy other than Phoenix is really good at Ruckus, and he's going to frag our back line if we give it to him. I like it because Faye is the leader of this team. He's the captain. He's the main drafter. He's the heart and soul of Na'Vi, and putting him on a pick that's a little bit more manageable to deal with, I like what they're doing.
They're going to take Cassie as well, which I don't think surprises anyone. We've seen her banned out
It surprises
pretty-
me a little bit, honestly,
pretty good
because
bit.
the biggest advantage to Cassie is that she punishes Ruckus. And
Oh,
when,
sure.
when
Sure,
Ruckus
actually,
is
yeah.
off the board by your own ban, I think Cassie goes down a little bit in priority. She's still really good on this map, and
Right.
she has a bunch of really good matchups against other characters. But in my eyes, it's all about the Ruckus. Navi's going to ban out the Torvald, and it's going to leave Khan
Yeah,
as
so
the big tank that VP is going to take right there.
Con, another map where there's opportunities galore to send someone flying off the map with the overpower.
Off the map or under it.
Off the
Dunk
map or
them
under it.
in the well. That's the most BM way to kill
I didn't know that
somebody.
existed. We were watching Ascension Peak. I guess it might have been, actually it might have been yesterday. It was last week at least. And somebody just got tossed into the well, and I didn't know that it existed up until that point. And it's one of the funnier moments. I had to keep myself from losing it because I was casting.
What's even funnier is when they fall in it of their own accord. Shout out to Bonker.
Bunker accidentally fell into the well.
Yeah.
The next time
He
you
Well,
see
you
got
hate-
memed pretty hard.
you hate-
Joe Bro got him really good for that.
Well, you hate to see it. Hopefully not falling in the well. What was the dog that always barked and said somebody's in the, I don't know, some old timey,
I have
some
no
old,
idea.
some old timey Western movie. Some dog would always bark and tell people that somebody had fallen in the well.
Interesting there in the draft for Navi side. We saw them hovering Genos Leon, and they switched it to the Inara. Leave it open for VP, and then VP is going to take the Barrack Genos. Interesting. Very big. Oh.
Lassie it is.
There you
That's
go.
right, it was Lassie.
Yeah. I don't even know who that is.
I don't
know Lassie.
He barked and
That's
the
the one
kid said,
that you-
"Wait, somebody's in the well."
That's the one you take out back? No.
No, wait,
That's
that-
Old Yeller.
That's Old Yeller.
That's Old Yeller.
No. Oh, we're getting deep in the fields right now with all the different dog options. It's interesting though that VP get three very strong picks off the. I mean, the Con's still open due to the bans. The Grover
can get
goes
us
and the
out of
Ash
your
as well
world.
off to the opposite
Stay
side.
I think VP's
Follow my
super
lead.
happy
Yeah,
with
I
this
think so.
core. Both their tanks get really good picks for them. Pooley looked really good on Khan yesterday, and the Genos has been a staple for them all throughout this set. Navi hasn't had it a single time.
They haven't had it. Not going to get it yet again. But now the last two picks coming out for Virtus.Pro, they leave the flex open on the side of Navi to answer back a little bit what Virtus.Pro could be dishing up here. I mean, they haven't shown us any of their damage
They
yet.
went for the Drogue yesterday, but I don't think that's what they're going to go for because Navi has the counter pick. I don't think you want to take Drogue and give Navi an opportunity to potentially run like a Leon and Andro into it.
They're going to go Xin Shaolin again. They're going to go Shazin. We saw it.
Same damage
Right.
duo from
From
last
last game, right.
So I like it. Shaw's really good on this map. He's able to abuse the long lines of sight and hit people
Sure.
for those big 1K arrows from across the map, and Xin does Xin things and flanks.
It wasn't. I mean, probably wouldn't say the Xin or the Shaolin were the reason they lost the last game. So
Your family
they'll be
is
fine
safe.
going back to that. But the Vivian, though, coming out for the first time today on the side of Na'Vi. How do you feel about their lineup?
It's interesting. The Vivian looked really well for them yesterday, but I'm mildly concerned about double backline against this Virtus.Pro comp. I think that it's going to be a little bit rough having Phoenix be your only point of aggression on that Ash.
Well, they're going to look to keep the aggression rolling onto this map. They win the last one on Bright Marsh, so we're all tied up at deuces right now here. 2-2 for both sides. The Penguin cape draped around the back of Phoenix's seat. Hecate deep in thought here, looking forward to Ascension Peak. If you look at both lineups, do you give it one way or the other on paper?
I'm giving it to VP. I really like their tank core, and I think the Shazin is not ideal for them, but I think it's going to be able to plug and play and get them the win.
Hopefully looking to improve on what they found in Game 4 with that combo, but we're tied up at 2 here. One of the teams will take the lead after this set, but who's it going to be? Nick, Gore, take it away.
Well, I love this map. I'm glad we have very competitive sets. Not a lot of 4-0s this week happening, and these guys are heating things up even further. I think we were all kind of sitting around chatting, thinking that today might have been faster than yesterday, but after seeing the way that VP have stepped up to Na'Vi, I just don't know. We could see all 7 here. Everything pretty much standard across the board. Recurve, I think that's worth noting for Hecate Shaolin. Normally explosive arrow is what people have been going for. And a little booby trap, we saw one of those yesterday for the Vivian. Not the opportunity in chaos I think we're mostly used to.
And I'll say yesterday, I remember that was during the actual Bright Marsh game that we were saying was incredibly fast. And I remember thinking, I didn't notice it the entire game. It had never clicked to me that was something that was different. I heard you mention it on the desk, and I was like, oh, wait, really?
Oh, I saw it in the
something that,
post-game screen.
Not a lot of people run, as you said, mostly opportunity and chaos, but also provides kind of a different, I don't even want to say complete different style of play, but just different source of control for your team.
First blood there for the boys of VP. Looks like second blood will follow for Sheko. Finds Spunky to make it 3. just like that, this fight is over in a big way. The support does go down. There's just nobody around from Na'Vi to contest this one out. Good poke coming out from both sides. An arrow will connect. A presence will find its way home in kind. Nice battle shout there to immune the next one from Creatives. 57 and climbing. Na'Vi is respawn. Na'Vi is healthy. Na'Vi is looking for a way back in.
Being able to come crack this shell. Lazy should be able to walk into the point, no problem. Might take a little more damage than he wants, but it's an Nara, so she'll be able to heal it back up, no problem. A little bit of Vivian, control, vision, maybe a bop up if you get it right. Actually going for a pretty big flank here, getting some good headshots. Might be able to just burn through Joseph's, but no, Pule Ule turns around, picks it up. Phoenix is distracted trying to kill the Barrack.
How long did it take them? I did not think that Barrack was going to live as long as he did. Spike comes out. Phoenix gets void gripped up, stunned out, locked down. Na'Vi with no leg to stand on in that first engagement. Ultimates coming out for VP without hesitation. And my made-up statistic of first person to pop their ultimates in a first-round point fight has a 100% win rate continues to be true and have merit.
And being able to hold on to it as well as they did. I mean, Heat Haze was popped there as well as the Spite. Spite, maybe not as big of a deal overall, just going to be able to get you some movement. Especially when you're not going guillotine, you don't have to worry about it as much. But it has been enough to close off some certain kills. But, I mean, even right there, that was an enlightenment that got thrown out from Creatives, or at least I heard the sound cue for it. Whether it fully was able to get off before he died is the question. With him respawning, we'll see if that's at 0% or not. But I mean, 6-0-1. This Shaolin is having a completely different performance than they did last week.
Yeah, Akatsu's just having a really good day, I think is a simple way to put it. He's looked phenomenal, and he's always been rock solid. Like, even in Virtus.Pro losses, he's kind of just been there, being at least average, at least close to even, when nobody else is having a real good run of it. I think Fisheko as well has been putting up crazy damage numbers. Every time Akate starts to pop off, Fishy manages to keep himself in the conversation. And right now, VP are just rolling over Na'Vi. Wow. Ascension Peak looks to be just as easy, if not easier, than Bright Marsh was for Na'Vi.
This is not necessarily unprecedented against Na'Vi, but it's not something you typically see. 4 kills total, 3 of them on Mutu, 1 on Lazy, nothing for Phoenix, nothing for Spunky, which might not be out of the ordinary, but nothing for Creatives. One of the bigger names for the team. 7-0-2, 2-0-5, 2 undying members for Virtus.Pro, and it's the carries. Pule Ule has died once, so these slash lines telling an incredible story, and of course Pule Ule, outside of Hakate, I want to say maybe one of the biggest impacts of that game, because he's finding so many of these side kills, so many side shots that are opening up the door, allowing his team to get a little bit more aggressive.
And aggression is the key word, or maybe pressure is the key word here. One of the two. Pule Ule working his way in. Metapusher was concerned that Na'Vi wouldn't have a way to get themselves in a situation where they can actually get aggressive onto this VP lineup. Pretty good start here, but Fisheko just keeps finding these kills in the backline. It's almost so many off-screen things happening because these fights, like as Phoenix is diving in, just as aggressive as you saw him get, you best believe there's a little bit of a dive coming out from Virtus.Pro onto the squishy backliners. And it's almost a race of like, who kills the backline first? Who can succeed in their dive first? And the difference here being, Fisheko, I feel like, can follow up on his. Phoenix was all alone.
I mean, no one able to get back there. Honestly, it's just, who do you fight through on Virtus.Pro? Like, you can't take down enough or even get by them enough to be able to collapse in. So Phoenix has been diving through, and it's been okay, but this is the only time I think we're going to see him live long enough to be able to make something out of it, because now he has that ult, at least keeping him alive. If you can kill off Akate, that's a big deal. And these shots will help kind of track him down. Lazy going to be able to get the credit for it. And getting rid of that streak, getting rid of him opens up this point with fast cap. 74% can turn to 100 real quick.
Finally able to use some ultimates here. Fisheko gets clipped by an enlightenment he probably had no idea was coming. And then Lazy's able to take him down. Doseb's always alive until he's not, unfortunately. But the fast cap is going to push this one through for Na'Vi. Do managed to somehow weather that entire storm. And it takes ultimates. That was pretty much all 5 ultimates from Na'Vi getting value and coming online in this fight to actually get something going for them.
And admittedly, it was 99 to 93. Like, Virtus.Pro had control of that. And if they were the team either in the other position, or if this was, you know, fighting on even ground again, if it was 1-1 or 2-2, then you do not win that point fight. Or even if you win that point fight, it's not over yet for Na'Vi. So being able to kind of play the game the way they need to get back into it and keep their name on the list. But so far, the defense is looking pretty blue heavy. Granted, there's still 2 minutes left. Plenty of things can go wrong in it, but once you move the line of scrimmage for a defense onto the aggressor's side, then things start to look pretty grim.
Yeah, big shield coming out there, absorbing a nice Yomi strike. Pacheco running out of cooldowns. Dosup's running out of life. Plenty of time for Na'Vi to get themselves back into the conversation here on Ascension Peak. Spunky takes down Pacheco as that line of scrimmage starts to get blitzed. Na'Vi ready to actually put their offense to the test here. Start this payload moving. They've got a lot of time, but they also have a long way to go.
They'll at least start climbing up the hill, which I actually would say there's 2 parts of this map that make it very difficult. Obviously, the very final end of the push, which I think is true for a lot of maps, where it's just you are walking into their base, and they are going to have high ground over you. They have a distinct advantage over you. It's actually where Lazy's kind of looking at right now. If you can keep them locked down here, you can get 3/4, maybe even 5/6 of this push done incredidly fast. But that last bit, once you pass that arch, once you get through
We're
there,
getting into some dirty fractions
that's
here, Gore.
where it gets pretty gross.
5/6 of the way home, and about 8/13 chance here at, I think, finding conversion. Big damage onto the support. But like you mentioned, high ground and the spawn doors, which if you step inside, you're going to get some big healing numbers going for you. So you're able to kind of make sure that you stay safe, you stay healthy. You can stay involved in this fight for a lot longer, and you don't need to call to Vex. You can just take a step inside of the door. We saw it happening a ton on Frozen Guard yesterday. Any of these spawns that are super close to the conversion point can be leveraged to give you an even heavier defender's advantage. Akate picks up a triple kill with that defender's advantage we were just speaking of. No ultimates used either, and this one looks like it will end pretty quietly.
It's going to take way too much time to get back. You can see Phoenix kind of doing a dance over there with Pacheco. It doesn't really matter who comes out on top. Round's over. Even if that last kill had finally come through. Phoenix was looking a little lower. Of course, he has more health overall than Pacheco, so it could go either way. And those are the boxing matches, I think, that have been making the big difference. Phoenix dived in deep during the beginning of that round and literally walked away with nothing. In fact, didn't even walk away. Just got demolished where he was. Tossed around a little bit by the Khan. And I think the saving grace for Na'Vi that round was the fact that they had the fast gap, the comeback mechanic. They have 2 members that are 3-7, one that's 0-7. Creatives has not gotten a single kill this game.
Yeah, it's tough. Na'Vi have got to find a way to keep their backline safe. I don't know if it's Phoenix just changing his game plan and saying, look, there's nobody that can dive with me. I'm trying to get some pressure out on these guys, but they just don't care. They're just blowing right by me or whatever it is. I want to watch Zin. I want to watch a little bit of Pacheco here. See the route that he takes as he gets into the back line of Na'Vi. Looks like he's dancing with Mutu. Has his ultimate's going to go into it, but he's exposed, and Creatives with his first kill of the game will be able to save the life of Mutu.
Being able to come through. There's a second one. Mutu gets credit for the kill, but Creatives doing a lot of damage. Playing this flank beautifully. Almost takes a step too far, but does not. Ule trades out, gets rid of Mutu. Right now, it's kind of blow for blow. If Akate comes back and can play this the way that he needs to, his team's going to be able to retake, but it's kind of up to Creatives, who's picking up a lot of damage and a lot of kills.
Really good fight there from Creatives. He clips Vex and remembers that he got that damage, slides to the back line when he doesn't feel like he has a chance of getting out of this fight, and just trades. Make sure that he's getting value. 3-1, 70% lead for Na'Vi at the moment. Hekate shuts down Phoenix, but not before Phoenix is able to claim one of his own.
Looking for some long-range Yomi strikes. Gotta actually be able to connect with the Krober there. And that's the glorious thing about Zen, as well as kind of in tandem here with Akate. They're going to have a lot of long-range poke that is going to cause a lot of trouble for Na'Vi. Na'Vi need to touch down. It's 81% here, 3-1. Virtus.Pro only need this capture to grab this map and put themselves in the lead in the set.
Dome Shield is very, very close to coming up. Overpower is available. Not a lot of other ultimates on the line. 2 for 1. Explosive start to this fight. Mutu evens it up. 2 kills apiece. Na'Vi falling apart here. This front line looking lower and lower. Mutu finds a critical 3rd kill, shuts down the Dome Shield as well. Pacheco's going to get in here, try and stall this one out for as long as he can. But the map control, the point control is starting to go the way of Na'Vi. Overpowered is the last hope for the Bears.
They try to get rid of Lazy, and they do so successfully, but Phoenix has moved right into his spot. Found the vacant home, made it his own, and now with Ule dropping down with Dosup's already half health, it's going to cause a lot more trouble here for Virtus.Pro trying to dance on the objective.
Another
and
whirlwind.
Once again, the kills are coming up red.
I mean, it's unfortunate, but Do just doesn't get that dome shield off in time. Mutu, 3 critical kills there. He just walked in and just W-keyed people down. Chainsaw out and about, ready to get those frags.
And the thing about the dome shield was it was that awkward timing. If you can kill him, if you kill him too soon, he's going to retain the ult.
Yeah.
He doesn't quite get it out. The turret is growing after he puts it down on the ground. It's building itself up. And that's when you kill him off. Uses the ult, consumes it, so even when Dosups came back, he didn't have that as a crutch to rely on.
No, it's a big misplay there. Need to get value out of the dome shield. Need to get that online. Vivian just does so much damage. Creative's got a pretty important pick onto Vex as well. Can't forget about that contribution. And to be honest, it's one of the few that we get to talk about here. He's had a rough game. I think it all starts, though, with that spite in the backline. Fisheko tries to just continue to do what he's been doing all game. But we talked about how you're vulnerable during spite. You need to try and get those in the 1v1 scenarios. And because he gets Mutu, but Creatives is right there, Fisheko ends up dying before it actually gets the kill.
Now they're trying to fight this once again. Even with a defense, Virtus.Pro's points won't change. And even with a conversion, Na'Vi can't win here just yet. Looking at ults, whether or not they get used before next round is really the biggest thing on this map. Just because you come in with 5, you force 2 or 3 out at the very end, maybe you buy yourself a victory in the map. Both of these teams have done this dance a million times, so they know how they want to play it. It's just whether or not Na'Vi are feeling like they should commit to try and tie this up 3-3.
Well, Spunky's going to go for a nice little mid-round whirlwind and give Lazy the power and the health he needs to pick up this kill on the Hekate. Counter comes out. It will miss. No Billow available. Fisheko out of cooldowns, out of time, out of health. Back to spawn for you, sir. 30 seconds now. Charging in, Na'Vi looking for the offensive conversion to tie this one up. And Lazy's actually pushed it a decent amount of the way. He's knocking on the door. While VP were busy trying to get a full court press going, they were getting backdoored.
Sentinels are ready for Mutu if he wants to pop him just to get that damage. They will stay available from round to round, so it's not that big of a burst if he has to use it. But he doesn't even need it. He's burning shields like it's nothing right now. 8 seconds left on the clock, just trying to get in to get the overtime. Mutu, of all people, is the one doing
trap.
it. And not sure I fully agree with it, but it buys time for Lazy to get there.
The reason you see that is when you're the only one close enough. That's pretty, I think, pretty much the only time that Mutu would just suicide into the payload like that. Because you might as well give it the old college try, I guess. They give VP a couple more kills and some more credits for the coffers as we head into a very late game Ascension peak. That could go even longer. It's not the fast cap, but it's the half cap now enabled with the 3-2 scoreline for Na'Vi.
I mean, all they need is one pickup.
All
one
you
push,
need
which
is
they
one.
haven't quite
One.
been able to get. But the same thing goes on the other side. Virtus.Pro were pretty close to being able to control the point last time around. All they need to do is do that one more time, except this time put the spin on it where they keep control. They get some good use out of that dome shield. Maybe they close this game out.
20-6 for Hekate's recurve Shaolin. A simple talent, simple play style. Pull and shoot. Try the shoulder bash to the back line here, but Vanix gets skunked. He might be going in the well here, down into the depths, where he will shake hands with Bonker in his favorite spot on Ascension Peak. Lazy under some pressure, but diligently fighting back. Pops the Earthman Guard, gets a whirlwind heal, and is confidently pushing under this dome shield.
I mean, being able to get that aggressive under a dome shield, don't see it often, but it keeps Dosups on his toes, locks him down. The shield's going to get popped. 3-time in space comes through, but it's not enough to lock down kills. Fisheko, though, does not care whether or not that's supposed to pick up the kills. The rest of the team is cleaning up.
Oh my God.
The shots coming
Just
through.
finish it.
Hekate did not realize that it would take that many arrows.
He thought it was over, and then he thought it was over, and then he thought it was over again, and finally gets the kill on Inara. You can't rest on Inara until she's actually gone. 60% to 24 on the objective. Na'Vi with one ultimate left. One chance to dance here. Spite is available as well. The full court press is here. It's being locked down. Na'Vi are looking like they're going to lose this game, and they do. Virtus.Pro go ahead. One more. They beat Envy last week. They are primed to beat Na'Vi this week. Virtus.Pro has been on the upswing, but how high will they fly before we see them hit their ceiling?
Honestly, this is making me even more excited to see NIP versus Na'Vi next week, because I just need a bearing as to how far ahead NIP are of the rest of the teams. I mean, they've gone 6 games with Virtus.Pro, but they find a lot of 4-0s last week. Like, this is the Virtus.Pro. Like, this is a high level of play, and it says something that yesterday they lost a set.
Well, it's not over yet. 3-2 reads the score line. Let's get it back to the desk and get us primed for Game 6.
3-2 it is. Virtus.Pro 1 game away from taking set number 1 of the day. It was a pretty fun one to watch into there. The Shaolin and the Xin working out much better for Virtus.Pro this time around. The Leon Vivian, though, on the opposite side, not finding the same impact.
Yeah, you know, Hikate's showing that if you give him Shaolin and you don't pick any flanks, he's going to punish you. If there's no backline pressure, he's just going to be able to sit in the back and free fire, and he did that, and it worked really, really well for them. And I'm loving everything I'm seeing from VP.
Yeah.
They took that loss yesterday, but I really feel like they learned a lot from it. They played 6 games with NIP, and it's clear that the things that they learned yesterday, they're putting into work today, and it's working for them.
It is working for them. Going toe-to-toe at least another 6 games here. They're on set point here. 106,000 damage out of the Barrack, not too shabby. 110, 126 for the other 2 damage dealers. You got to look. Some of the slash lines as well. The Shaolin, I think, had 23 kills in this game or something absurd like that. But Hikate, you kind of mentioned it when you let him, or 22 kills. When you let him just kind of chill back and free farm, this is exactly what you're going to get. I think it could have been a lot worse if they didn't find some of the kills onto him. But he looked really good. And I think it goes to show that, you know, we could take the Leon away from you. But still give me the Shaolin, I'm still going to make a big impact. So that throws potentially a little bit of a wrench in the mix for Na'Vi moving forward.
Yeah, and Hikate's just playing this so well. You know, he's up close and personal right now, but he's using the fact that Shaolin has no fall off to his advantage. He's able to challenge, you know, these guys, this Leon and this Vivian from far away, where their damage is falling off, but he's still hitting them with the big logs that he's shooting. And I think he did really amazing that game.
He did. 3.9 KDA. That's not easy to do. No dabs from him yet today. We saw, I think, a world record 2 or 3 dabs yesterday.
Even when they're losing,
even when they're losing, he's throwing out the dab. Game 6 is looking to get under the way, and the map picks have pretty much been going back and forth. Only one, I'm trying to look, no, only one team has won 2 maps in a row, and that was Virtus.Pro 2 and 3. But other than that, they've been trading back and forth. So now we actually flip back to Na'Vi's side. They have an interesting map choice kind of in. They picked the Stone Keep, which is more of a traditional map for them. Didn't work out in their favor. They went to Bright Marsh as well, and that one did go in their favor.
Yeah.
And then Ascension Peak. VP's pick worked out for them. So now it's up to Na'Vi to show us which way they're going to go. What kind of a map do you maybe look for here if you're Na'Vi?
Maybe
well, I
Ice
guess we'll
Mines?
see.
Splitstone. Okay.
Similar.
I like Splitstone a lot. It's actually one of my favorite maps. There's a lot of different plays that can work on there. You can run deathball comps that play inside of those bleachers on the outside. You can play sniper comps that abuse the high ground and really punish people who are out of position. Splitstone's a very versatile map where teams can really take the creative freedom and play whatever they want. And Na'Vi is looking very creative.
They are looking, to say the least,
maybe a little bit
creative.
free as well.
Also a little bit free. They get rid of the Cassie, though. That kind of bodes towards a potential Ruckus pick or maybe a ban. We saw the two.
That's just
at
my
this point,
thought. I don't know what's going on in their brains.
No, I mean, it's true, though. I mean, the Cassie is a pretty big dampener on the Ruckus mood. So depending on which way they choose to go, that could show us something. Makoa on the opposite side.
Will they ban Leon here? This was what they did on Bright Marsh. And this is a huge Leon map. She's able to get a lot of value off those long-range eminences from high ground to high ground, hitting supports, you know, getting resets, and go aggressive and use her ultimate aggressively. It is going to be the Leon ban, so I like that. You know, just because Hikate had a good game on the Shaolin this time doesn't mean you need to fear it and ban it. Stick with your guns. Give him the Shaolin and maybe pick something aggressive into it. I
mean, at the end of the day, you're still more scared of his Leon, I think, than you would be of his Shaolin. I mean, both show up to be really big picks. Evie, though.
Oh, well.
one of the first couple picks off the board here for Virtus.Pro, as well as the Genos. So
I like both of these from both teams. Khan is super good on this map. Both sides of the map have an insta-gib feature where you can throw somebody, you can throw them into the fidget spinners in the stone, or you can throw them into the lava on the other side. And as for VP, Genos Eevee is an absolute monster on this map. She's able to really poke out and trade with any character in the game, and Genos enables it in a lot of ways.
Especially when you give it to Fishy. He's a scary man to have to go up against, especially when he's playing on his Eevee. He showed us that on Frog Isle and numerous times throughout the rest of the day, that his Eevee, certainly something interesting to have to play against. The Bomb King, though, coming out here for Na'Vi. They have one more pick in their second round of drafting here. The Khan, though, strong pick. They're going to elect to go the Barrack route as well underneath the Bomb King.
The BK is interesting. I don't know what the thought process is. VP's already locked in Eevee. You have no concern about them, and at least in my eyes, about them picking Bomb King and Eevee.
Right.
Like if Hecate is playing Bomb King, that's a win for me. And also, I feel like BK kind of struggles into the aggression. If a Loom boosted Eevee is constantly diving him and forcing him, to poppy in bad positions and maybe fight at low health, he's really not going to be getting the job done. So I wonder what the point of that pick was. I might have liked to see something else, maybe a hit scan. Maybe you take Shaolin away from Hecate there.
They are going to go Ash Fernando. The Inara is still around.
They just can't stay away from me.
What's going to get locked in, it is. So on the opposite side, though, they do have the Khan as well as the Barrack already, though. So maybe
this comp screams aggression to me. You forgo Inara, who's arguably the best point take in the game for two semi-aggros. A lot of blast damage actually from VP as well. Eevee, Fern, and Ash all get mitigated by Blast Shield unless Ash goes to
the Maeve again.
Maeve is really good on this map. She's able to take high ground and punish people really well.
So we saw her on Bright Marsh, and they were able to win that one. She's going to come out again.
Another CC heavy comp from Na'Vi. Again, by the way, it doesn't affect Barrack at all, but all 4 other characters are affected by it.
And you wanted to see the resiliences maybe a little bit earlier on the Bright Marsh.
At least on the tanks.
Right.
I need to see it earlier on the tanks.
Ooh, Victor for the first time today as well. We saw Vivian last game, but Victor making his first appearance. What are some thoughts for either lineup here?
The Victor pick is really good on this map. He's able to abuse the long range, but the question for me will be, is Mutu going to be able to pressure him out and put that flank pressure, not let him free fire? Because if you let Victor sit up on the high ground and free fire, I don't see how VP could lose this game.
That's tough to deal with. VP, they're on set point here. They're up 3-2. Na'Vi need to fight back here in order to force a game 7.
Wake up, lazy.
Yeah, right. He's rubbing on his eyes there, rubbing on his hands, trying to get the team up and active. Phoenix, I'm sure, is pumping everyone up, trying to get him into this game because, as we said, I mean, we're on set point here. I think you would say that depending on how it's played, maybe you like Virtus.Pro's lineup a little better, or could go either way in your eyes.
I think I like Navi's better. The Khan is really good on this map.
Got it. Well, he likes Na'Vi, and they need it. They're down 3-2 here. Need to win this one in order to stay in the set. It is going to be split stone Corey, and your casters are going to be Nick and Gore.
Thank you, boys. As we get into game number 6 here, I'm excited to see what could be the conclusion of a pretty big upset here for Na'Vi. I think most people expected them to win coming into today, but VP have proven anything but a pushover squad here. They continue to impress. They continue to get better, improve week after week after week. Curious to see if Pule sticks with the battering ram here. Slugshot was something Sadak brought out, and it looks like everyone's leaving spawn, and he will likely be sticking with it.
I mean, just being able to keep that because of how wide open the point is, and maybe even specifically because there's a Maeve, that's like I need to get out of this fight, and I need you to not hit me into the threshold too early.
Ooh.
I mean, right there, that second pounce missing is so big in terms of this fight, but look, this execute is on such a low cooldown, and Fisheko, poor Fisheko, even though he's on Eevee, even though he has a Luminary boost, is the first to fall.
He certainly is, and now Na'Vi are starting to creep their way into VP territory. Pule here will have to box through Phoenix, or so he thought. It's tough to take on a storm of bullets. Khan, that's a lot of DPS coming out, 54% to 21% on the objective. Na'Vi in the lead.
This long-range damage, this Maeve, Mutu playing it, it's something that we've seen a couple times in the league already. We've seen Maeve come through, but admittedly, and what we had talked about then, was it wasn't necessarily the execute playstyle that I think we're used to seeing. And this is what the execute playstyle brings to the table. just gets rid of your front lines. It makes it so much more difficult for someone like Ashe, for someone like Fernando, to withstand anywhere near the damage. I mean, you're already looking at a pounce that goes through shields. Add on top of that the fact that you're going to be distracted constantly by a Bomb King who can burst you down incredibly fast. You don't even have to be looking for the damage as Mutu. You can find the execute off of your team.
There it is, into the fidget goes young Hecate. Phoenix stays alive as well. Na'Vi have played this capture beautifully, and they will get the first payload of the game as a result. Fisheko finally takes down Maeve, so the blue-haired girl takes down the pink-haired girl. That's going to be a tough matchup, I think, for Fisheko. Maeve is tough to hit. She moves fast, she's small, and these are big, kind of slower projectiles from the Ice Staff. But Fisheko is the best in the business at it. He is not scared to take this 1v1, but maybe he should be. Mutu takes him down with ease.
I mean, it's so difficult, especially if you're looking at it as Eevee. I mean, luckily for her, 30%, 35% of her health
like
of
two
1,800.
daggers.
Pretty low, but at the same time, because your health is so low already, yeah, 2 daggers, maybe 3, puts you in the execute range. So a 1v1 with Mutu might not be the safest thing to be able to fight. And then not only that, but it's Eevee also into the Bomb King, who is going to be able to pop you dead pretty fast given the opportunity. So Fisheko has to play this damn near perfect, and we've seen him do it in the past, but it's just going to be so difficult, I think, to get that leg up. It's going to take a little time.
Dosups has to play into this Maeve again with this shielding front line. Creatives finally dies. That's a big, big problem that they need to solve. There's a lot of damage coming out of this Bomb King. There hasn't been much aggression from the Fernando and from the Ashe. They really didn't control the map as well as they have on other maps. And part of that's just Splitstone. You know, Na'Vi get entrenched under that little bleacher area, and it's tough to move them from that position. Fisheko was struggling to get in and get involved. It has not been easy.
I feel like I can count the number of times I've seen Hecate play Victor on one hand. And every time it still impresses, but it's just one of those things that it almost feels just like an awkward switch, right? I mean, he's 1-1 and 2. He has a barrage ready. I don't expect to see him use it unless things get very dire for Virtus.Pro and they need the defense. And so I'm looking towards his performance not only at the beginning of next round, but just kind of through the entirety of next round. Just how does this barrage connect? Does it find kills? Where do you stand? Because he's gone for burst mode as well instead of Grenadier, which is not necessarily anything out of the ordinary. This grenade, especially on Splitstone, can find nice corridors to bounce in where people are going to be locked up anyway. But he just doesn't seem to quite be hitting quite as hard as I
mean, my thoughts on it just quickly are, you know, there's really no one to pressure him. If Fisheko and Mutu are going to be tangoing the whole time, it's basically between him and Creatives who's going to put out enough damage to win the fight. As we head into overtime, we'll have that question answered for us, but with Creatives riding back from spawn currently, I don't know if this is going to be too easy for Na'Vi. With the 4v5, down a man, they still managed to grab a kill, trading out 1-for-1. But remember, defender's advantage, 3-for-1. These numbers are starting to get pretty scary.
I mean, coming through right now, the kills are all they need. They're coming around the last corner, the toughest corner in Splitstone Core to break through. And they already have Phoenix playing Gatekeeper, locking down VP in the base as best he can. 3, 2, and 2 are the slash lines for Hecate and Puleole. Looking to try and pick those up right now as they need this defense to be able to stay at least even in this game.
I don't know if this is the matchup Pule wants to be taking. Phoenix is gunning him down with ease every single time. He has not struggled with the Ashe 1v1 matchup. Lazy's going to drop down the Dome Shield. Na'Vi want to get this, and it looks like they will. Fernando goes down, and Na'Vi just go up 2-0. Virtus.Pro and Na'Vi just slugging it out back and forth and back and forth. It almost matters more what the map it is, or what map it is versus what champions are selected here, because 2-0 conversions, I don't know that we've seen a set so far that has had more of them.
Yeah, and honestly, Phoenix right there, I think, did a good showcase. Not
oh,
only
that's how he died.
in distraction factor.
I was wondering. I saw him blink up in there, and like he was full health, and I'm like, what the hell happened to Fish? That's what happened to Fish.
Phoenix is showcasing the reason that Storm of Bullets Con can be called Fat Victor.
Yes.
And it is just because not only does he do all the things that Con does,
Thick Vic,
but he has a 30-round clip that is firing, that is hit scan. Might not be quite as much damage as Victor is going to output. But when it comes to tracking down an Eevee, when it comes to dealing with Ashe, dealing with Victor, dealing with Genos, like, he's got the damage.
There it is. Bomb comes out, Ice Storm, and it's met with the fear, but Fish looks like he's going to stay alive. Stunned again, and he's still not dead. How does an 1800 HP character live this long under the bleachers, stunned out 3 times, finally falling down? 2 kills answered back for Virtus.Pro. A Void Grip just to slow down the aggression, but Akate is full tail between his legs. 50% grabbed with the fast cap, so good stuff there from Virtus.Pro. Not a complete and utter loss here. King Bomb is still ready, and it'll have to square off against the Barrage. 1 ultimate apiece, both these teams ready to fight once again.
And that's the great thing about the way Na'Vi approached this fight. They're playing under the bleachers, and there's just no vision from Hecate to them to be able to get that barrage off. The only reason it's still there, now he's been dropping some bombs, and he's going to be able to get a kill on Mutu with it. And that's going to open up the door, but is it going to open it up enough? You can get your foot in, but it doesn't seem like it is ready to open up the way. 99% for Na'Vi. Fish is forced to go in.
Oof, in and out, every cooldown spent just to get the touch there. 2 seconds on Blink. I don't know if it's going to be enough. Vex is looking for it, but he won't get there in time. That was pretty close. They may have been able to do something with that, but I think resilience is a big factor the desk talked about. Let's see if VP have picked any of it up. There's a lot of crowd control for Na'Vi that just needs to be answered for. Like I said, you know, Fish got stunned out 3 different times under the bleachers.
I mean, locked and loaded down there, right? Like, there was a point, not only did he live long, but I mean, that was like through an Immortal, through an Ice Block. He's just sitting down there trying to do his best, but where does he go after that? He's 2-5-6. Not the EV performance we got to see earlier today. Not an EV performance we really expect to see from Fish Echo. But admittedly, I don't even think part of it's his fault. I think exactly what you said is still true. And that's that. It almost doesn't matter what champions they're playing. The way the maps are being played is really what is like changing the pace of this game.
That was clean, even though he died for it. That was real clean from young Dave. And not the caster. Fish Echo's first name's actually Dave, just to clarify that. I wonder how Dave's Eevee's doing these days, you know? Big sniper guy. I don't know if he's got the Eevee locked down yet. We'll have to put him to the test here. 1 minute 16 on the clock. Na'Vi. 5 ultimates available. I mean, if I'm them, I'm putting this game away. I'm taking us to Game 7 as quickly as possible. I don't want to be down here in Game 6. I want to be taking this on home court advantage. All the momentum in the world. Laser beam misses. This is looking like it. This is looking like the green light for Na'Vi.
This is actually the control they need. Almost enough to kill off Fish Echo. Going to be able to run away. Immortal popped right then. It only keeps you alive for so long and at such a amount of health. Still have a King Bomb. They still have a Dome Shield.
He's going to wind this up right under their noses, too. I mean, Poulet's walking down into this one. They blow him up before he can even get Assert Dominance off. And a Dome Shield and a King Bomb go unused because they don't even need it. Na'Vi curb stomp Virtus.Pro on Split Stone Quarry. My goodness gracious. Game 7. That's the way this one's going to be decided here. All down to the wire. VP not feeling good after that loss. I don't know how confident they are going to be on what few maps are left in the pool. Let's get it back up to the desk, and Game 7 will be coming at you shortly.
My Eevee is bad. Thanks for asking. My Eevee is not on the same level as Fish Echo or for anyone else for that matter. But what is up to that level is Na'Vi. They win a big Split Stone Quarry, a 4-0. You don't often see 4-0s on Split Stone Quarry. No. And they did it in a big way here. They tie up the series. We're headed to a Game 7. Who are some of the big players on Na'Vi that really drove that game for you?
For me, it was Phoenix and Creatives. I thought Faye really dominated the pace of the play, really controlled Virtus.Pro's tanks with that commander's grab and the ability that he had to just sort of cancel out everything they do. Pooley goes to dash in and try to pressure out the back line, and what happens? He gets grabbed and that's canceled out. So for me, it all really came down to the config. I think Faye looks amazing on it, and I think it did a lot for them this game. First 4-0 of the set.
First 4-0 of the set, and it's a big one for Natus Vincere. They needed that one. Looking at the resiliences, though, only a single one. Dosips is the only one. He had resilience too. Not a single other resilience up on the side of Virtus.Pro, so not maybe utilizing the items as you would have on that side, but
to be fair, the game ended real quick.
That's true.
So you do have to get your cauterizes and your wreckers and stuff. True. So I won't crucify him too much for that, but I do give Doe a lot of credit for picking that up because he absolutely needed it.
That's entirely fair. Spunky, always a great healer as well on the opposite side. So here we are. We're in Game 7, tied up at 3-3. Only. Again, one team has won 2 games in a row here. Since then, it's been ping-ponged back and forth, but we are going to head into a Virtus.Pro map pick here for game number 7. All the other maps are exhausted.
Ice
here. Right.
Mines, Frozen.
Ice Mines, Frozen Guard.
One more that I can't remember.
You said Fish and Timbermill are banned.
Yeah, Warders and Shattered are banned as well.
Well, I'm forgetting
one of those
which
two. I think there's another one. I think you have 3 choices when it comes to the last map. We haven't got to play a best of 7 this season yet, so I'm not sure. But
betting odds, we're getting cold here in game number 7. It looks like the only 2 options left are Frozen Guard and Ice Mine. So out of the two, say you're Virtus.Pro right now. I mean, where do you choose to go if you're in the mind of Virtus.Pro? You get this map pick.
Man,
I mean, it's hard to say. I mean, they're both cold, which is the big draw to either of those maps. I
don't know. Ice Mines feel like it would be the most comfortable for VP, but Na'Vi also looks really good on Ice Mines. There's no telling what they're going to pick. You got to have that dredge thought in the back of your mind.
Right.
So definitely probably some questions in their mind
and
when they're looking to go in. Ice Mines.
Ooh, okay. Ice Mines we go. So we saw the dredge here from Na'Vi yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Is that? I think that has to be in the back of your head if you're Virtus.Pro, right?
Yeah, and it's something that Fish has played in the past. He played it a lot last year at the qualifier lands and stuff. Not a lot. It didn't really get picked a ton, but he does play it. So it'll be interesting to see if that's something they potentially look to take away. Bans are flying out. Wow, real quick. I can't even write them down in time. Ruckus and Pip for VP. The Pip ban is interesting, but I'm a big supporter. Pip is amazing on this map.
Yeah.
And if you think about what Ice Mines is, it's a ultimate fight around the point.
Right.
And then, normally an offense that fizzles out because the defense is so strong on that map. And what does Pip do? He's got the best ultimate in the game, Evil Mojo, instantly win you a team fight just by pressing one button and killing some chickens. So I like that strategy from VP.
Smart to take it off the board. That leaves up the Khan, and well, as I say it, away he goes.
Mm-hmm.
So the Khan over to the side of
another big
Virtus.Pro.
ultimate. Insta-kills are really good on this map. Drogos, Khan, Pip, and so I like that. They're going to be able to grab somebody. If a DPS is sticking their nose out of the window for too long, he'll be able to grab them. If Na'Vi chooses to go for an Inara or something, he'll be able to throw them on the map.
Well, we've seen Virtus.Pro. Genos may have been kind of split down the middle today. I think Virtus.Pro probably has Genos more though than the opposite side. Though Na'Vi is going to get it.
This is the first Genos that they've had all set long.
Right, it actually might be. They are going to get it. They're going to get it with the Cassie as well. So she escapes ban prison and actually ends up getting picked up here by Na'Vi.
Cassie with a Genos pocket is one of the hardest damages to kill in the game. She's got so much self-sustain, the ability to peel you with disengage and peel for herself with dodge roll, and potentially resetting the dodge roll when she gets to low HP. So these are big picks. Two picks that Na'Vi used a lot yesterday that they haven't had all set long. So I like this start to the draft from Na'Vi.
On the opposite side, you're going to get Hecate back on his Leon, and you're going to get Barrack as well. So I think Virtus.Pro will be happy with those 2 picks, but looking at the Na'Vi side, I mean, you have the ability here to really hide your hand on that last pick. The Ashe is going to come out. Another frontliner, I would imagine, it is going to be the Inara. So now Virtus.Pro, you kind of have to pick around what could potentially be a dredge, what could potentially be, something else that's spicy, because Na'Vi have shown
not a lot of healing for these tanks for Na'Vi, though. The Inara is going to be kind of on an island out there with only a potential Genos heal to keep her alive, unless Na'Vi decides to go for some off support. I don't expect Grok to be picked on this map unless VP take it for their support. Or did I say Grover? I meant Grok. I meant to say I don't expect Na'Vi to pick Grover, but Grok might be an option.
Sure. Well, he could be. It's going to be Zin Grover. So those 2 are going to round out the Virtus.Pro lineup here. Pretty strong.
Pretty standard.
Pretty standard, I would say. Nothing too spicy. And here's kind of been the big question mark for Na'Vi's draft. The 5th and final spot is open here. They showed they're willing to play the Dredge yesterday.
I would not pick Dredge into this comp. Ice Mines is a good map for him, but I think a Zen would be able to pressure him way too much.
Well, we're going to see here in 9 seconds, but they still need, if they want to go that way, the Blastery type champion.
BK makes a lot of sense.
Looking like it's going to be the BK. So you have Genos, Cassie, BK, as well as Inara Ashe. That's a pretty strong 5 there from Na'Vi.
Very strong damages with this Luminary boost. The big question for me is, will Na'Vi be able to sustain on the point with only a Genos?
Right, and that's the big question. On the opposite side, you have Khan, Barrack, Leon, Zin, and Grover. Both teams looking to take the win here. We're tied up at 3, headed into Game 7. Let's send it down to your casters.
Well, great ending here for sure is brewing between Na'Vi and Virtus.Pro. I'm very excited whichever way it ends. I think we've all gotten our money's worth, and when you pay exactly $0 to watch these games, how can you feel any other type of way?
I mean, you get 7 games of 2 of the best teams in the league, and that's just going to be good no matter what.
I'm going to be juicing a lot of mixer points. I mean, this has been a long set. It's good stuff here, and the slow, silky smooth dab from Akate takes us into Ice Mines for game number 7. VP and Na'Vi battling for what will be kind of, they're both in the top 4 right now, ready to kind of move themselves maybe into that top 3 conversation in terms of the games that are played right now in the Premier League. Very exciting stuff shaking out. Who will sit on top after next week? I think we'll really have a good idea of who the best team in the Premier League is. For now, Mutu playing Impulse Cassie, something he's not had to do all set, or something he's not really had to do in a very, very long time, period.
Impulse, definitely not the one. Normally big game, but when it comes through to it, I feel like they're not looking at the threats that are Puleule and Dosups. I think that's where Creatives comes in. He can deal with the front line.
Ooh, you see
You've got to look back a little further.
Last second swap there onto Guillotine for the young man Zin. So make sure to keep that in mind as we look forward here. He's going to be looking to take down some of these tanks, almost like a Dragon Punch style of ultimate this time around. Now they have Overpower to throw somebody off. They have a Guillotine to take somebody out of the equation as well. Virtus.Pro with some cheeky moves here in game number 7. Lazy will find first blood. Sneaky little Stone Spear shot onto Visheko, and VP have to just kind of cede all this ground and map control now. As a result, Phoenix is not ready to let them go. He wants to keep the pressure on, and the boys are there.
And Mutu locking down the windows. This is perfect. This is the exact kind of fight you need. No one up top can peek out without taking a Cassie bolt to the face, and no one down below can peek out without Phoenix.
Look at Lazy go.
Maybe even Lazy just getting into your face. Being able to control all avenues right now is big for Na'Vi. But Virtus.Pro still slipped through, comes back, it's 54-30.
This is getting messy. The tanks for Na'Vi are completely separated from the rest of the squad here. Visheko's allowed to penetrate the back line and put pressure on a Spunky, takes him down, and now VP are back on the objective. They could seriously stagger out Lazy here because he is left on an island all alone. They got to take him down sooner rather than later, though, because Na'Vi are starting to arrive, and they do. Perfect stagger. Now they're without their Inara, and VP looks like they may have fought their way back to this first payload.
And exactly when they needed it, exactly how they needed it. Visheko, there's going to be the Guillotine in action. Visheko gets the ult, gets the kill, and of course, because of that, gets rid of the only other frontline that was in a position to touch down. VP, from an early loss, come back and grab that one.
And that's the type of situation, that's where Phoenix probably wakes up there, because everyone kind of, you look at your opponent's talents, and then, probably 5 seconds left, you're like, okay, that's what everyone's playing. You drop the menu, and you go out and you play the game. It's not until you get ulted as Ashe and you get deleted by Spite that you're like, wait, what the hell what happened to me? And you hit your death recap, and you're like, oh no, he's running Guillotine. You got to give that call out. So now VP have sort of shown their hand, so to speak. I don't know if Na'Vi would have had any reason to check back in on the talents at that point, because you're fighting. You're in the point fight. You're kind of getting involved. There's the Enlightenment that comes out. Creatives manages to skirt it, stay alive. Visheko goes down, but Akate will find an answer. 144 on this offensive clock for VP, but Lazy has been very aggressive, almost taking a page out of the NIP booklet and just walking people down no matter what tank he's playing.
I mean, honestly, you could tell me there's at least 3 other frontline players, I guess, that you could throw in there. You could tell me this was Ovim playing the Inara, and I'd believe it, because no one... I feel like a lot of people don't just walk down with Inara until they get a certain level of confidence, not only in their team, but in their abilities. So being able to walk forward that way is impressive from Lazy's, well as just being able to find the kill after all of that. Normally you go into that scenario as a frontline, you bite off more than you can chew, you're the one that ends up dying. But right now, Na'Vi have flipped this on its head, and they're getting kills and pushing Virtus.Pro right back, slowly but surely, towards their base.
59 seconds on the clock here. Remember, VP is on the offense here. They're just trying to get this payload moving. This honestly looks like the way Na'Vi started a lot of their games, getting the first payload, but then really not making much progress as Virtus.Pro started to adjust. But that's okay. I mean, Ice Mines is a very, very difficult push, and a lot of people realize that and literally just draft for the point fight. They say, I don't care if we get a single one of these payloads pushed through. All we need to do is just point fight 4 times. And not get dunked on if we get on defense.
If we have to go to defense, we cannot let it roll through. We can just look to try and go 3-3. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
I'll be honest, I don't know anybody that really does draft for the push specifically. No. I think Ice Mines is the only time you really even have that conversation because the push is just so different than what the point fight is. Like, there's so much more. Pulu, they got trapped in the hallway there. Oh, no.
What if you got trapped in there and it didn't let you play next round? Like, you were stuck there for the next round.
That'd be toxic.
That would be rough. And there you see Fasheko zoned in as it is right now. Last map of the set. Seen a couple of Kanga players, a couple of NIP players walking around as they wait patiently to go in and take their place in the booth. I'm sure just as anxious to see who can come out on top of this. I mean, NIP were able to put down Virtus.Pro in the 4-2 yesterday. And the maps they won pretty convincingly. There were a couple of 4-3s at the beginning, but everything was very well controlled. Close games, so the fact that it's been a lot closer here, not only going to Game 7 between Virtus.Pro and Na'Vi, but having maps that, yes, there was a couple of 4-0s there, at least one 4-0 there for Na'Vi, and a couple of really strong maps, but it's been neck and neck the entire time.
And I think win or lose here, VP have definitely cemented themselves as one of the top teams in this league. Fasheko very, very low early. Has to go into the billow. Laser beam won't connect onto anyone. Seismic Crash is coming through. It'll find the stun onto Fasheko, but there's not enough damage. Guillotine comes out onto Phoenix, deletes him. 3 for 1. Virtus.Pro take this point fight in spades with overpower to spare. Arguably their strongest ultimate just now coming up. Just now staggering Mutu out 10 seconds behind his teammates with a good zone here, Gore. This one could be wrapped up.
And honestly, they timed that so perfectly. Not only was it 3 for 1, but it was about 3 in 1 second that they were able to get the kills.
Yeah, no kidding.
And it feels like the call was almost hit the spike, hit that ult onto Ash the minute we get lazy low. Because then he can't save anybody. We can lock him down, but Creatives comes in big. It's still just a second too late. Kills galore for Na'Vi.
And that is Ice Mines.
But there's no point.
That is Ice Mines, my friends. Just, yeah, you win that. You put it all on the line in that first team fight. And then you just suicide zone. You just go as deep as you possibly can, slow them down. Everybody dies on the zone in Virtus.Pro, but it doesn't matter. They give enough time. So I believe Barrack was sitting there on the objective. He just captures away dutifully. And that's that. The next payload goes Virtus.Pro's way. And this could be it. This could be the game. It could be, you know, just no progress made on these pushes whatsoever. VP get completely skunked every single time. And then we just see him hold their ultimates. We see him go into the next round, and somebody comes out on top at the end of the day.
Yeah, this is the Ice Mines I remember. I said that yesterday. I'll say it again today. Because we were blessed with, what, 4 weeks of 4-1, 4-0 Ice Mine maps now.
Yeah.
We're getting back to the nitty-gritty. 4-3s are usually the scoreline that you will run into on an Ice Mines map because it's this kind of defense. You don't have to worry too hard when you're able to get kills this deep. Although Spite being used just then will have time to recharge. But you're already being held so far back, just getting the kill right there. I'm not sure it's going to open up enough for Virtus.Pro to start getting aggressive and get back to the payload.
1 minute on the clock. And these kills are starting to come through. Genos all alone. Cannon will go down here, but this payload starting from ground zero on Ice Mines. Mathematically, it might take all 40-some of these seconds to get the payload from start to finish at this point. Phoenix just suicide stalling this payload out, burning another, 8 to 10 seconds off the clock before it starts moving. That's all little valuable moves, little valuable plays here. The thing that I think Virtus.Pro are going to be more focused on is recharging these ults for next round.
I mean, that's all you can look for. And this is actually where territory starts to get dangerous. Yes, Na'Vi are going to be able to tie 2-2. The big thing Virtus.Pro have for them in that case is the economy kind of shifting in their favor. 600 total credits from the 2 points they've captured in their favor. But then you start to look at 2-2 as a scoreline and realize that it's still going to be dangerous. All it takes at that point is Na'Vi capture 1, push 1, and they win this entire set. So we're getting into scary territory for either of these teams.
We're getting into Scaratory.
Scaratory.
Everybody's starting to kind of fall one by one here. Biggest thing I want to see, just Vex gets that last 7% on us. Warwick goes for the Whirlwind, even though Pule dies. VP roll the dice here. I think they might be going for this conversion. I'm not exactly sure what I'm looking at here. This does not look like a very likely offense. It didn't look like a very likely offense. And they will spend a whirlwind for it. Navi used nothing on the defense. Now, I don't know if that's the end of the world, but I am very surprised by it.
I'm trying to think of a scenario that could have followed that whirlwind that would have opened
here's
it up.
my
And,
thought.
like, maybe if you drop another ult, maybe you get a couple kills there, or
Sure.
maybe Vex is just trying to stay alive. But I feel like that one was, I don't even want to use the phrase panic ult. It was just kind of thrown out.
No, it wasn't a panic ult, I don't think. My one thought, let's look at the items here. Maybe Cauterize 3 is starting to come online for Na'Vi, and Grover Whirlwind, Grover Ultimate falls off very, very hard once Cauterize 3 is online. Phoenix has got it, but nobody else really does. He's got Morale Boost 3 as well, so we will be charging it quick. Not 82% in the next, 30 seconds quick, but quick.
I want to see, let's see, is it 21%? Throws a couple of axes, I think he goes up maybe 1%. An axe per hit. Either way, he's already going up to 30. He's going to be in control. Almost knocked off the map, but he misses the overpower because of it.
That's huge. Pulula gets stunned out as well, trading out 1-for-1. Akate ripping people apart from the high ground here. Did he bite off more than he could chew? He goes into Enlightenment, probably before he should have. Akate thought he could go all in, and he was punished for it. Now Fasheko is left pretty much alone here on the objective. It's Navi's turn. Mutu grabs the triple kill. And it all started with a missed overpower on the high ground. Phoenix used a kinetic burst to throw Pulele off just for a moment, and it was all that it needed.
This is it.
I loved it.
This is exactly what it can come down to on Ice Mines. It's 2-2, but if Na'Vi grab this point, if they can stop Puleole before he touches that point, which his shield just gets burned down.
Jeez.
They capture this. All you need is a push right now if you are Na'Vi and you win this set.
And they might get it. How many times?
That was systematic.
The push, fail, and then the other team flips it around, gets this 3-2 offense. Virtus.Pro have not had to play defense at all this series, or at all this game, I should say. Do they just get converted on in a, momentous kind of flip-flop? That's scary stuff. And again, I want to bring it back to that whirlwind. Why was that used so late on that offense for Virtus.Pro? The game doesn't end if they get that conversion. I don't understand why you would do that.
Yeah.
It's just one more, and not saying it would have changed the pace of that fight or it would have changed the outcome, but I don't think it could have hurt.
Definitely could have been, a benefit at the very beginning if you're able to get as deep as you could. Try to get some healing, just something to spread it through. But like you said, does start to fall off a little later game, which is the only thing I think I could give to that. Maybe Vex will have some reasoning on that later. As of now, whether it was a boost, a detriment, we haven't really seen. It obviously wasn't able to affect the point fight because it didn't do anything for that push. And now they need this defense more than ever, and I do not want to see any of these ults from Virtus.Pro go to 0 unless they absolutely have to.
Well, 1 minute on the clock. Na'Vi already making a lot more progress than VP have been able to make on some of their earlier attempts. Lazy gets one. Mutu grabs another. Kate diving in again will fail to grab a kill. Fasheko, the same story being told. Vex dies the clean ace. Nothing for Virtus.Pro in that little skirmish. And that little skirmish is going to turn into a lot of momentum. Na'Vi are going to come barreling down the home stretch here. And this is it, folks. This is the set on the line. If Na'Vi go through, VP go home.
The shots are already good. Fasheko gets rid of Phoenix, which I think is one of the best ways to start off this fight. 20 seconds left. Overtime, Lazy. It's all still alive. And they do get rid of Fasheko, which makes it a little easier. Your time and space comes through, no connections, but you're going to have to burn through an Inara.
I think you ignore Lazy, kill Mutu, kill Creatives. Somebody in the backline needs to die here. A Dome Shield gets brought out as well. Na'Vi are starting to pop ults. Na'Vi want to end the set here, but it's going to be a brawl to the finish. Overpower comes out, brutalizing poor Spunky across the way. Poulet's found himself too. Runs in, battle shouts his team back to full HP. Doesn't have a commander's grab for 6 seconds to flip Phoenix out. 8 seconds of damage immunity. Just trying to get this payload the last couple of inches it needs to go. Damage immunity wears off. Lazy's extremely low HP. Almost every ultimate used. The only trigger discipline left is the Enlightenment for Hecate. And look at what we have here. A nice little guillotine spite has come back to full charge. Virtus.Pro look like they're feeling pretty good about what just happened.
I mean, technically at this point, this is the plan for Ice Mines, right? You go 3-3, you maybe sweat it off, but you come in with the ability to kill off Lazy or Phoenix immediately in the spite. You have one get-out-of-jail-free card if you're Hecate, so you can stay alive through at least one bad trade. And that's going to be the key right there. Can Hecate have a bigger performance and bigger fight through this point?
He failed on that previous point fight. He went too deep. Didn't land his ultimate. You can go too deep as long as you hit your ultimate and get your trade, right? That's where it really went awry. A lot of master riding coming through here down the stretch. Nobody wants to be outpaced to the objective. Barrack straight down to it. Lazy takes an aggressive position here on the left-hand side. Not a lot of ultimates to work with. Does Fasheko end up being first blood? He missed his ultimate. Pule Ule still finds first blood.
Lazy dancing around, locked in the corner. Gonna be able to get some of that good old Inara damage reduction, but he is locked on his own. No support to his name, and that's the strength. That's the reason Meta Pusher on the desk has been mentioning why Genos is so good with someone to use as another healer.
Look at this.
Why you're seeing Grok, maybe Grover,
He's gonna get ult.
with him.
He's gonna get ult back here. He goes in, gets the kills before he even gets the ultimate charge here. Unless a catastrophe befalls Virtus.Pro, it looks like they have just done what they need to take down Na'Vi. The spite is good on to Phoenix. Smiles are starting to crest the faces of VP. Lazy doesn't have the mobility to do it. The boys are popping up. Virtus.Pro in 7 games will take down Natus Vincere, and your boy called it. I'm feeling good about this one, baby. Let's go. The boys in black and orange take it all.
I don't think I've seen someone jump out of their chair more excited than Hecate in that moment. Jumps up and immediately throws the hug for Pule Ule. You can see Spunky, Lazy, and Creatives all maybe a little upset with their loss. I mean, they've been sitting here now for about 3 hours in that set, locked against each other.
Is it really already almost 4 o'clock?
It is almost 4 o'clock, and
Hooey.
these two have been locked in battle. Good friends. But of course, only one can walk away victorious, and it's Virtus.Pro.
Well, the upswing continues here for Virtus.Pro. How high will they soar when it's all said and done? They take down Na'Vi. They took down Envy last week. Back to the desk we go to celebrate this victory.
Ooh, and what a 7 games it was Virtus.Pro. That's about as back and forth as you can get. Only 2 games in a row for one of the 2 teams, but Virtus.Pro, the ones who strike last, and that's what's most important. They come out on top of this set. They beat Na'Vi in a very contentious, very long, a 3-hour long, essentially, set number 1 of the day. Obviously, Virtus.Pro feeling pretty good on their side. If you had to generalize, what are some good things you saw out of Virtus.Pro today?
I think they stuck with their guns. You know, they took a hard loss to NIP yesterday, but they weren't discouraged. They came in a matchup that they were, I think, heavily favored to lose by most people in the community, and they stuck with their guns. They did what they thought was best, and they won. I thought that they were amazing. I thought the guillotine was a great pick for Fishiko. I talked about how having one-shot ultimates is so big on Ice Mines, and I didn't even consider that you wouldn't run Yomi and you run guillotine and have another one-shot ultimate.
And it's just, it worked out for them so well today. And then actually it was the Splitstone Quarry game that went 4-0 in favor of Na'Vi, and that was looking, I don't know, it was looking kind of dark. It looked like going into game number 7, the momentum was entirely on the side of Natus Vincere, but Virtus.Pro, like I said, they strike last. Fasheko here on the Zin. You were a fan of it, worked out well in his favor. This one, you're not missing many shots, 91,000 damage, 19 kills. We talked about him at the top of this set, one of the big impact players on the side of Virtus.Pro. He did exactly what he needed to, I would say.
Yeah, he was just an absolute menace to the Na'Vi front lines. The combination of a guillotine Zen and only having a Genos heal to sustain you up throughout the entire fights was just too much for them to handle. That was the weakest I've seen them look in the entire set, and it's not any fault of them. It's just a great draft and great play by VP. I think that, if you go back, though, Navi, why are they committing ultimates during that 3-2 push?
Yeah, the defense,
that
right.
That was a really questionable decision for me. I didn't really see any reason for that. I thought that maybe if you commit 1 or 2, you force things out from VP, and then you try and save Ashold, or you try and save other things. I think that would have been a much better look for them. So a little bit sloppy play on that back end of the set.
Are there some good takeaways on the side of Natus? I mean, they're still one of the better teams in the league. I mean, what are some good things you saw from them today down the stretch? I mean, they had some big 4-0 wins. They had some games that really went in their favor. What are some good things you saw?
I think the good things is that they were able to both find success with their weird cheesy strats with Emoji, and they were also able to find wins with the standard stuff. So that's a big threat to any team that faces them in the future, is that they could run the weird stuff, or they could run standard.
They could. Let's take a quick look at the updated standings after set number 1 of the day is in the books. Natus Vincere now jumping over, Virtus.Pro kind of staying firm there. They jump over Envy. That's right. 3-2 it is for them. Natus Vincere still stay in second place. I mean, we keep saying it, the top 5, 6, 7, and hell, even 8 spots in this league are pretty contentious any given day. Any team could go 7 games, and when you go to a game 7, you never know who's going to win. But today it is Virtus.Pro's day to celebrate. They go into the weekend with a huge win, a big game 7 win for them. That's important. I mean, how important is it going into a weekend with a big win like that under your belt?
It's really important. I mean, and I think they're going to be feeling great. They have 2 really big wins. You know, they took down Envy, us, and Navi. So, you know, they've beat both Worlds finalists from last year. These are huge momentum wins for them, and I think this team's feeling amazing.
I'm sure they are feeling amazing, but who better to know if they're feeling amazing than them themselves? We have an interview with the winner standing by. Let's send it on over.
Well, guys, you are able to come through that one. You've been there for 3 hours. I just want to know, how are you feeling after such an intense set?
Feeling great. I forgot the first 3 games, you know. Those games lasted. We took a few breaks, and it's been a long day.
Yeah, a tough one for sure. Fish, you were telling me about this critical moment in that last, or that 3-point fight where it almost went through on Ice Mines, where Cassie rolls away, you get a billow. Kind of set that situation up again and explain to the fans kind of what you explained to me about what happened in that chaotic last team fight.
Well, they were ulting the point, trying to push, and Cassie was on our high ground, and Hecate got him low enough so I can finish him with 1 auto attack, and he, instead of dodge rolling backwards, he dodge rolled towards the point, and I got the reset, and I could touch the point for like 10 seconds there, which saved the game basically.
Isn't it funny how one little shot, one little mistake
if Hecate doesn't shoot the Cassie there, or shoots the tanks instead, we basically lose.
It's crazy, a crazy moment there. You guys managed to keep it pretty composed there, and talk to me a little bit, Dosups, about Hecate, and like he's popping off on the camera all the time. We can't always hear it, but you don't need to hear it. You can just kind of see what's happening in the Virtus.Pro booth. What is his dynamic that he brings to this squad?
Anytime we get a big win, we're coming from behind, he just lets out a primal roar when we win, dude. He just stands up, he roars. And they were trying to touch point at the end there, and Hekate's like, we're doing it, and he was getting us all hyped
and like the 3-3? Like,
yeah, we were all nervous, like, Hecate, stop, dude.
Oh, you're going to curse it.
Yeah,
you're going to curse it. Quick thoughts on losing to Moji, Fisheko.
Wait, I thought we were not talking about that. I was not prepared, bro.
I lied to you.
Yeah, I did not like it, but happens.
Thoughts on just the general like spice and versatility of what Navi brought?
Mutu brings out all the champions. That's what Mutu does, and you have to expect it. Mutu can play any flanker. Doesn't matter if it's meta or not.
I just want to say quick words. How's it feel now? You've beat Navi, you've beat Envy, the 2 world champions from 2018.
Feels great. We still have Nip to beat, though.
We lost to Nip, though.
Still a little bit more work to do, but as of right now, you're on a very good track to do so. NIP is the team to beat, but congratulations. 7 games, and you're finally able to close it out. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
The Paladins Premier League, brought to you by Skillshop.